and we have a real treat in that Terry Cummings is going to teach.
Hey, I'm not kidding. You're so sweet.
Has everybody
Signed in.
So I'm assuming that Kiera and Aaron will slide in. And
much better, thank you.
yes,
I'm
Terry
strong
was
antibiotics.
really out
Really bad.
sick last week.
I was like, I need to come get you and take you somewhere. What now?
I almost thought I needed to come get you and take you somewhere.
Well, so Tuesday and Wednesday I was in bed the entire time. My husband was waiting on me and so was my son. And then finally, and I was trying to come back to work on Thursday, wasn't I?
Yes.
And then she kind of talked me out of it. And when I woke up Thursday morning, I said, I've got to go to the doctor. Because it just wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, when you start to feel dizzy, just standing up, getting dressed, that's not a good sign.
No, because I got up Thursday morning to get ready, and I was just like, wait a minute. But all's good now. How's everybody else?
Good.
Good? Everybody staying warm? Trying.
Getting ready for that polar vortex.
I know!
Yeah, so let's cover that.
I don't think we're going to have snow, though.
Stacey, before you go, can we cover that real quick? If for some reason there's like impending weather on Wednesday, what do you generally do there?
I thought all our weather was going to be still on Tuesday.
Well, no, it's coming, but what they're saying is, like, I know...
They close everything?
No, the temperature and stuff is... Well, so the temperature in the afternoon to the early evening of Tuesday is when it drops down below freezing, and I understand currently and stuff that it's not going to be above freezing until after 11 on Wednesday, so there could be an ice situation on Wednesday, so what do we do?
I will communicate with you, and let's see,
If the roads are closed.
right.
Well,
and
they won't ever close
and our
roads.
instructor for Wednesday would be coming down from Cumming, so we may reschedule. So what's the earliest that everybody leaves to get here? Tia?
I get out about 7:30. If I drop my daughter off at school.
Okay, so I will let you know before 7:30 if we're not meeting.
Okay, thank you.
They won't close the roads, but they'll tell us, don't get on the roads.
I'm anticipating we'll probably have a late start on Wednesdays for like schools and stuff.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, because I thought as of yesterday that they were saying it wasn't going to be as bad as what they originally said.
That's what they said like several years ago about that.
That's true.
No
And now they're so very cautious, like they're overly cautious of everything
They
now.
generally would delay the opening of schools and stuff is what they would do primarily.
Right.
So that's-
It's a great job.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last time we had the
30% correctness.
Yeah, the last time we had black ice, that was right before December. That was in December, right? And I was leaving. Nobody was on the roads, and they had even shut down the Peach Path. So I couldn't. So then I got all the way to Peach Path. It was closed. And I had to turn around and go a different direction. But I was like, well, nobody's on the road but me. All right, so you guys ready to get started? How's everything been going so far?
Good.
Good? Good. Okay. So, the takeaways from this chapter is to get you to CAP, right? That's what all of Ignite's about, right? So, what classes have you done in Ignite so far?
Lead generation.
Y'all have been in this class, right? Okay, so this is participation class. So, when I ask a question, y'all answer. How about that? I promise to answer a question if you'll ask me. So, yeah, so what all classes have you taken yet?
Win the buyer.
Okay, awesome.
And then we did lead generation or whatever with Hannah,
Okay.
with Jennifer
Okay.
about social media and that kind of stuff. And then Hannah was with us that went over.
Okay. He did buyer consultation, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Win the buyer with Kevin.
Win the buyer? Okay. All right, good. Awesome. All right. So, what we're going to do today is talk about listings. Okay? So, today's expectations, what we're going to do, there's going to be some role play. Did y'all bring a list of people to call? Have you been doing calling in your classroom? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, did you bring a list of people to call today with you?
We have our phones.
Okay. All right, good, good. I don't care what list you have, just as long as you have one. Okay, we're gonna talk about pre-listing packet, okay? Did anybody take a look at the materials and download anything?
The one that Stacy sent around.
Okay.
She had sent around. I don't know if everybody in here got it.
Can you help us with the section that you're covering? That way we can get to,
It's win the seller.
okay, so that's
Win the seller. I'm not sure what section it is, but it's called win the seller.
Section 4?
Yeah, it'll be up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, section 4. All right. And then you're gonna learn and practice the listing presentation together. And then you're gonna ask for the listing agreement to be signed when you practice. And we've got 2 videos that we'll watch as well. Okay. And how many of you have been doing the 10-4? You know what I mean by the 10-4? Okay, what do I mean by the 10-4?
Oh, the
It's
10
your-
calls, 10 notes, 10
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
Right.
4 new something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the touches, right?
Pardon me?
The touches.
Mhm.
The touches.
Okay, how many of you been consistently doing that?
I think the word you just used was
Consistently, I would say, do I get 10? No. Do I get like 3 or 4? Yes.
Okay.
So, I don't get them all.
Okay,
do it every day. I would say once a week.
pardon me?
I said I haven't been doing it every day. I would see it at least once or twice a week.
Okay, all right, okay. So, all right. Now, understand that y'all haven't been reporting out daily, right? Right.
No.
Okay, all right. So, but you do have this sheet, correct? Okay, are you keeping track of what your results are on your log that you have?
No.
No?
We haven't done a whole lot.
Pardon me?
No, we haven't.
Okay, so I would highly recommend that you do this. This is a great ritual and a great habit to get into in the beginning of your career, because this helps you to see what your conversion rates are. And tracking your conversion rates are extremely important. I know a lot of you that coach with me, we talk about conversion rate, and this is part of it. And so if you don't know what I mean by conversion rate is, when you're coaching with me and we're going through your different business plans and your different models that we put together, and I start seeing that you've talked to 20 people this week, but you were unable to convert a single one of them, then that tells me, right, that there's a disconnect there, something that we gotta work on, right? So, but you won't know your conversion rate unless you keep up with your call logs. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, now, let's get on. Any questions before we get started? Nope? Okay. So, it's really important to talk about your leads, and then you've got your appointments, right? And then your agreements, and then your contracts, and then what happens? It's payday. We all want to get paid. Okay. So, how many of you have your pre-listing packet, or did you bring your laptop and have seen your pre-listing packet? Anybody?
Stacy just sent it, by the way.
Okay. Okay. So, the importance of a pre-listing packet. I'm on page 15, if you want to take a look at page 15. Okay. The importance of a pre-listing packet is to get that seller loyal to you before you even go on the listing appointment. Does that make sense? Okay. So one of the things that I always did when I talked to a seller is I asked them qualifying questions before I sent them the pre-listing packet. So the questions that I asked them, and this is also in your workbook, this is page 14, it is, how did you hear about me? So if somebody's called you, you want to find out from them how they heard about you, right? Why is that important?
You need to know where to focus on traffic.
Yes, absolutely. That's also part of your numbers and conversion rates that you want to keep up with, is knowing where people are finding out from you. Getting to a 99% referral-based business is where you want to be. because that's gravy. When you get to that, that's gravy. You don't have to chase business so much anymore. So, where are you moving is another question to ask. Why is that important? Exactly. A referral, and hopefully, if they're staying in the Atlanta area, then you've just turned that seller into a buyer. So you've got a 2-for-1 there, right? Okay. What's motivating the moves? Why is that important?
Could be job, personal.
Time frame.
Time frame?
How quickly they need
Job, personal? Okay, what, Tim?
How quickly they need to acquire the property.
Exactly. Okay. So all of their motivation comes into their emotional reasons, does it not?
A lot of it.
Okay. So if I'm talking to someone and they say to me, oh, well, we want to move to Colorado because our daughter lives there and she just had a baby, then what am I going to say when they tell me, well, no, we don't want to make an appointment with you right now?
You're missing time.
Yes, exactly. You're missing time. Don't you want to get to that granddaughter as soon as possible? You bring that emotion back into it. That's why it's so important to find out what their motivating factor is. How soon do you have to be there? So if somebody says to me, well, my husband has to be there January 15th because he's taking a new job, and me and the kids may have to stay here. What's my next thing? You don't want to stay here with you and your kids and your husband be gone, right? So let's go ahead and get your house on the market. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. If we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? If they say yes, then you would ask them, what problem would that be? Right? So staying in solution mode for the person that you're talking to is where you always want to be. Because there's a solution to everything, right? Okay. What would happen if your house didn't sell? Here's something I really want to bring home. Really, really want to bring home. And this aggravates me to death, okay? Because this is said all the time, and all of our materials say home. When you're selling, it's house. All your documentation, all your listing presentation, all your pre-listing packet, every word that comes out of your mouth when you're working with a seller is house. It is not home. Do you want to know the distinction and the reason why?
You want them to still be emotionally attached.
Exactly. Exactly. So using house over and over with them
Moving to their
detaches.
home. They're selling a house.
Exactly. When they're a buyer, then it's always home. Okay? Alright, so how much do you want to list your house for? They should have a good idea, right? But why is that an important question to ask?
Because that's way off from what the comps are running for you, that's the new discussion.
Exactly. So you need to be prepared for that when you go out there, right? Okay. How much do you owe on the property? Why is that important?
Figure out what they can spend next.
Calculate the net
Yeah.
they can make.
Exactly, the net, and then if they're underwater, that's another discussion, right?
Upside down.
Okay, yep. Okay, I'll be sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it before we meet? So you want to get that commitment from them, that they're going to look at that pre-listing packet. Do you have any questions before we meet? You want to ask them that to make sure that you answer those questions if at all possible. Unless it comes to commission, you don't want to answer that question. Okay, will all decision makers be there when we meet? Why is that important?
You want to have both the husband and the wife or both parties there at the same time, because if one is ready or one feels a certain way, it can delay the process.
Exactly. And if both of them are on the deed, they both have to sign the listing presentation, the listing agreement. Okay?
Plus, you can have to do the presentation twice.
Exactly, which sometimes that's not a good thing to do, right? Doing it twice. Okay.
Terry, I have a question.
Yes.
I know that the situation, I'm going on a listing agreement, that's why I'm sitting,
Woohoo!
present tense, I'm sitting here. If I know already that he's 80 years old, he's giving the power of attorney to his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
do they both have to sign it, or just her have to?
you'll want her there and you'll want her to go ahead and sign it,
Okay.
okay? So,
You need to
absolutely.
distinguish what kind of power of attorney it is.
Yeah.
You want to actually
Yeah.
know that it's a durable financial power of attorney.
Right.
That gives them complete autonomy and authority, but you have to establish that first.
Yeah, yeah, so I would ask her to bring the power of attorney, or if he has it already, and all of that. And one thing too, when you're doing that and you do take the listing, remind me when we're coaching to talk about that, about closing attorneys and that kind of thing with the power of attorney,
Okay.
when we coach, okay? I don't wanna get off subject.
No.
Okay, well, all decision, okay, we already talked about that. So just so you know, our meeting will be, so it depends on how long you're gonna take to do the listing presentation, right? So for me, I cut mine down when I started sending my pre-listing packet over. It cut my listing presentation down to about an hour, so it cut it by half. Because before it was about 2 hours, because I went and had to answer all kinds of questions. But when I started sending the pre-listing packet, then it cut out all of those questions. And so you'll just have to judge that. And the more of these that you go on, the faster and the better you'll be, right?
Terry, where do you want to be in the line of, so they're interviewing 5 agents.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be first, you want to be last?
Well, that's a really good question, Pete. If you can find out who the agents are that they're interviewing, then that will give you a clue of where you want to be. So, typically though, I normally like to be the first one there.
So therefore, your pre-listing package is the first one they ever read.
Correct. Correct. Right.
So by the time the 5th one interviews, they've got 4 other pre-listing packages
Probably
that they
not.
probably didn't read.
Probably not. Most agents do not use pre-listing packets.
Really?
Yep. Promise you. Promise you. Yeah, I cannot tell you how many listing appointments I've gone on.
Good agents.
Well, I can't tell you how many, and I know plenty of really good agents, but I cannot tell you how many listing appointments I've gone on, and I've had them say, "You're the only agent that sent me a pre-listing packet. You're the only agent that delivered my pre-listing packet to me." You know, so it's all.
Did you deliver it? Did you have somebody deliver it for you?
If I didn't deliver it, my son delivered it for me. Yeah, but I always hand delivered. I did not email.
So if he delivered it, then how much time did he spend with them in the delivery?
No, we left it at the front door.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What I like to do, sorry, I'm just fitting in.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while, but what I like to do is I like to go on my listing presentation. I prefer to be one of the first ones in, if not the first. And then I like to leave telling them I'm going to get back to them with some information. Maybe it's, since I haven't seen the house before, if it's the first time, I'll get back to them with what I think the house is worth listing. And make sure to get back to them that day to follow up, because if they are meeting with other people, then at least, if they didn't sign right there on the spot, then at least I'm still.
And what do you get back with them that day with?
I'll send them
CMA or?
Yeah, whatever, just anything that any questions that had come up during that meeting, I will follow up, make sure within a couple of hours, as a matter of fact.
Or you find something for a reason to get back with them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Top of mind. Pardon me?
Top of mind.
Yep, top of mind. Okay, so, page 15, the pre-listing materials, they are in your KW Connect, my KW Connect, okay? And I think Stacy, did you say Stacy just sent it?
She just sent me a
She
sent the
PowerPoint.
template, the
Okay.
listing presentation template, but a couple of weeks back, she sent the pre-listing packet too. I can
Yeah,
fill
I
it.
did that in the team meeting, if
Yeah,
you
you did,
remember.
yeah.
Okay, we talked about it and I showed it up on the team meeting. So that presentation is in my KW Connect, and you can edit that and make it your own. We're going to talk about things to add to it as well. Okay, so it's the one that's a template. It's really long, and I'm not in. But mine was really long too. That's why I didn't email it to people, because usually when somebody sees a big one, or they may have to click on a link, a lot of people are not going to want to open that link because of privacy, or, you know,
23 pages.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why I always hand delivered mine. Right. And one of the things that I did too, this is a little tricky, but it works, is I went to the FedEx office and got FedEx envelopes, because they'll give them to you for free. And then our packet was always in a FedEx envelope sitting at the front door, because everybody's gonna open up a FedEx package.
Oh, box is even better.
Yeah, or a box is even better, exactly. Okay, so the first thing that you wanna do though is you want to create a letter, just a welcome letter. This isn't a letter that tells them about yourself, this is just a welcome letter. Thanks so much for allowing me to come into your house, blah, blah, blah. There's some examples on there, and if you can't find them, then I have one that I'll be happy to send to you, but it's pretty straightforward. And then the next thing in that pre-listing template is what you'll help them with. Please look at that. The worst thing in the world that you want to do is commit to something or have something in writing that you're not going to do, right? So there's a lot of things in this pre-listing packet and in your listings presentation that you may not be willing to do. So if you're not willing to do those things, take them out of writing, okay? And it's better to not promise them something than over-deliver, right? Under-promise and over-deliver. The other thing is getting ready to list. This is one of the things that I really love about the pre-listing packet because it does help them to understand how to get the house ready, to get it ready for market. A lot of people don't understand the importance of taking down pictures and neutralizing their paint and things like that.
So and it might be in here, or it's probably separate. So, do you have? Is there anything? So, this getting ready to list, right? Is there anything? Say for example, if a seller wants you to, come through and walk through their house and maybe make a list of all those things that potentially could be updated, changed, repaired. Do we have a list of potential items to look at? I mean, you can visually see things like wood rot or old carpeting or whatever it might be.
Right. There is a huge list. Actually, I think there's 47 items. It may not be in this pre-listing template. However, I do have a list if you need it, and if you'd like to have it, I'm happy to share it with you. Because it's about 47 items to do to help your house show well. Okay, and then it walks all the way through there. And that's a really great question, Bob, because a lot of times people too will think that they need to do a whole bunch of stuff to get it ready for the market to bring a higher price. But that may or may not be true because they may do too much and outprice themselves with the neighborhood. Okay.
Additionally, and stuff, I found that if a person basically, I tell them not to worry about being in progress. So if they think they have a list of things to do, get it up on the market and allow that list to be executed while it's on the market, because I think it shows the buyers and stuff that things are being executed, so it gives them a sense of freshness, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think with this seller here, I think they're going to probably be coming on the market within the next month or two, but there are certain things like dry rot and things that you probably would want to get taken care of immediately. You can always, it's probably just the house would show better to have.
Absolutely, because those type of things are going to come up on the inspection anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at two houses that are basically the same floor plan, basically priced the same, this house looks great on the outside and this one doesn't, which one are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Right? So absolutely.
Yeah,
those things are important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. 5 factors. What are the 5 factors about getting ready to list that the seller needs to know about?
Flexibility is one.
Flexibility?
Coming from a seller's point, the last thing that we did as we bought and sold is that I wanted to hear a lot more honest opinion on the process.
Okay.
So like saying, here's what's going to happen. We've requested that you guys can show the house between 8 and 6 p.m., but please understand that
you know, if we're really wanting, if this is our main focus, that if someone calls at 6:30, I'm gonna ask you guys if you can leave.
Okay.
Those types of I guess setting the expectations of how this process works, because a lot of people don't, they are like, yeah, I'm gonna sell my house, this will be great, but they don't really understand like nitty-gritty of the process.
Okay, all right. So what we're talking about here, that's a good example. What we're talking about here is the recent sales in the neighborhood or surrounding areas, the location of the property, condition, competition, timing, and what else would be the most important thing?
Pricing.
Pricing. Exactly. Price is always going to be, in my opinion, the most important thing. Because if it's priced right, regardless of the condition, it'll sell. What I mean by that is you can, if it's in poor condition, so I have several times gone to a listing appointment, seen what the house looks like, and talked the seller into just selling it as is. Because by the time they did all the work that needed to be done to it, they've outpriced themselves in the neighborhood. Okay. So, price,
Is that
if it's,
considered, what, diminishing returns or something like that?
pardon me?
Diminishing returns?
Yeah, so like for instance, I had a listing in very sad situation, but her son had died and the house had been sitting there for 2 years. Completely vacant, completely furnished, I mean everything. And it just, nobody had paid attention to it for 2 years. And we went to go and look at the house, and she was not physically or mentally able to do any of the things that needed to be done to this house. And so my son and I actually took it on, and we cleaned the whole house. We got the auctioneer to come in and take care of all the furniture and all of that stuff. We actually, if she would have done all the work herself and everything that needed to be done, then it would have been about $75,000 of stuff that she needed to do. And we would have been at the top of the market, right? So for her, it was just better, due to her physical and emotional state, to go ahead and just do it as is and price it correctly, right? And so we did, and we had a multiple bid situation within 2 days of it going on the market.
And the people that bid on it, were they flipping?
No, was not flipped.
So when you see, I kind of run into that.
Okay.
Is you say, well, you should replace the carpet. Okay. Well, how I replace the carpet is different than the way Katie would replace the carpet if she was moving in.
Right.
But you, as the listing agent, are going to tell me that I need to replace the carpet and guess what Katie likes, as opposed to saying, look, we'll price it accordingly. But if Katie walks in and she's got to see the right kind of carpet because she just can't see it, then the house stays on the market a lot longer.
Right. So, for instance, if you've got a house that maybe has an odd color of carpet, let's say the whole house is hunter green carpet.
Well, let's say it's not. Let's just say it's average.
Okay.
I understand if it's pink or something, but if it's just, you got beige walls and beige carpet, but the carpet needs to be replaced.
You replace it with beige.
Why?
It's always a neutral color. Always.
So you always, even though it's brand new carpet, and somebody might want to have pink or something like that.
Right.
It just seems to me like it would almost be better to.
But it's
rip
less
it up.
of a bartering chip. Like you don't want them to feel like, okay, I have a bargaining chip here because the carpet is dead. Like even if it's like beige and
I understand, but if you're pricing it accordingly.
Well, but I cover that with my seller. So as an example and stuff, I say, look, you can go two different ways. You can try and communicate with the prospective buyers and let them know that we're in agreement that the carpet needs to be replaced, and you potentially come in here and we understand what the value of that carpet is, and so we're potentially interested in a price that says you get what you want.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But there and again, there's the conundrum. So you may have a seller who's super interested in basically sprucing it up to get top dollar, or there may be the seller who hears you and you say, look, this is the conundrum.
It's like
as
allowance.
we feel interest,
right.
Okay, we can go ahead and let the interested parties know that they have X amount of dollars in thought process towards the carpet line.
That's what they do in the new house.
What's that?
That's what you do in a new house.
Pretty much, and so
Yeah.
I do it that way. I do it
But
where I
a new
can.
construction is different when somebody's trying to get a loan. So you gotta think about that. So the lender, if it's FHA or VA, they may not allow that allowance for carpet to be put in.
Okay.
Because the FHA allowance and VA allowance has already been met. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so you gotta really watch that. There's some strict guidelines now as to what the buyers can do after the sale of the property.
Okay.
Okay? So, but visually, most people cannot see visual. They
I know, that's
yeah, most
unfortunate.
people can't. And in today's world, everybody is very immediate gratification. Okay? So most people want that house to already be the way that they want it. All they want to do is be able to bring their suitcases in and sit down and move in and not have to worry about carpet and all that. Somebody like me, I'd rather do it myself.
Well, is that your opinion, or you
No,
got some
I-
data that says?
No,
here's
I
the
know
fact?
that for a fact.
And where does that come from?
But based on my experience as a listing agent
Okay.
and working with
So
for
you-
21 years in this business and doing that, yeah.
So that's the conversation you have with the owner when you sit down. It's
Mhm.
look, I've been in this a long time. Here's the facts.
Yeah, exactly.
People want it to move in, no allowance for carpet. We put in new carpet. It's going to be tan. All the walls are going to be tan. The whole house is going to be tan.
Well,
Like
gray
the gray.
now, it's the new color.
Gray, that's
now.
what it is.
And now everything, if you notice, and you're watching trends, everything is moving to navy as
Right.
well, too. Not navy carpet.
Navy
but
and
yeah.
gold.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's all for
Yeah,
you. We just
yeah.
ended up.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was navy gold last
Yeah.
year.
To give you, I'm gonna give you an example. I've been farming my neighborhood, so I watch a lot of stuff that's going on. And the difference in price in our neighborhood depends on if you have put in houses were built in 1995. If you put in new flooring in the last 4 years, your house will sell quicker and you'll get more. They don't want the carpeting,
Mhm.
even if it's new carpeting, they
Right.
don't want it.
So this
And they
three-
don't want
the three-
blonde wood floors.
Right.
They want wood floors upstairs and downstairs, and it
Mhm.
can make a difference in our neighborhood of $20,000.
3/4 inch oak or the little pre-engineered stuff?
Most of the people have been putting in real floors, but sometimes on the basements or, they may do, but it's more the wider plank I've been seeing. They don't want the blonde prefab,
Right.
don't want that.
And on a slab, you're typically not gonna get 3/4 inch on a slab. You have to put in the pre-engineered. Okay.
But it makes a difference.
Yeah, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. Pardon me?
So it's just, the pre-engineered has gotten a lot better than it used
Yeah.
to be. And you're even seeing now in a lot of basements that the ones that they're pre-engineered, it looks like wood, but it's really not.
It's not wood at
And
all.
that's been great for
It's
basements.
vinyl.
Yeah.
Some
Vinyl.
people prefer them.
Yeah.
It's
It's
animals.
very sturdy. Yeah, it's really
So
good
it
with
really
animals.
depends on
if you
which
have
floor
animals.
and
Mhm.
Where it is.
yeah.
Mhm. And it depends on how much you want back in your return too, what you're
Right.
putting out for versus what the return is too.
Like, so I was telling you, when I was listing my home, the problem I ran into is that my neighborhood, the highest selling homes, highest price, were like around 350, right? Like, I'm not gonna make like some huge changes because I know that the maximum I'm gonna get is 350.
Mhm.
So there's no point of me going and doing a full renovation. I'm gonna change, like, I changed the carpet, paint it, and that was about it.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna like knock down walls or
Mhm.
put like flooring everywhere because I want to get top price, like more than 350. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's the best house there. People will come in the neighborhood
Mhm.
and see that most of the homes there are going for 340 or under.
That's correct. That's correct. So, getting the house ready to sell, condition. So the things that you want to look at condition is exactly what you said, Bob, like rotted wood, new roof, how old is the HVAC system, how old is the hot water system, hot water heater, the main things. Does it need painting outside? Is there termite rot? Is there water damage? How old is the deck? Those things are the more important things with condition. Inside is gonna be more like your flooring. If the carpet is just ratty and stained and all that, then, depending on the price point and how much they're gonna get, then it just needs to be replaced with typically basic carpet. Okay, which is not that expensive these days.
No.
And then neutral paint, and then making sure that everybody has the house completely clean. How many of you go on FMLS and look at pictures and you see some of those like, you know, I was looking not long ago and somebody had taken the picture and there was a raccoon in the window. I mean, you see the raccoon, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I think the ones that get me are the homes where they just never even clean. They just take pictures and there's stuff
Everywhere you go. I know.
How do you live like that?
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a lot of garbage outside. I was looking at some pictures, and it's like they have overflowing garbage in front of the garage. I'm like, y'all gonna pull that to the curb and take the
Just move it out of the way, take the picture, move back.
How many of you, probably not a lot of you, but how many of you remember that show or ever watched that show called Sanford and Son? Yeah? Okay. So this was years and years ago. I had a listing and I had a couple come over to my listing and, you know, they didn't have an agent and they needed to sell their house. So I'm like, well, I'll be happy to help you with all of that and everything. I go to their house, I pull up, and I kid you not, this was like Sanford and Son's house. I am not exaggerating. There's like several fish tanks in the yard. There's a washing machine on the front porch. They didn't even have HVAC in the house. I mean, it's the hot summer in Georgia, and you don't have, you know, central air, right? So, the sweetest people in the world, and I was very honest with them, and they did everything I asked them to do. They got AC, you know, central air, they got the yard cleaned up, got the washing machine off the deck, and everything. And we sold it, and then they did buy my listing, but I called a friend of mine, and I said, I'm leaving Sanford and Son's house. I really am. So just because you pull up, this moral of that story is just because you pull up doesn't necessarily mean that they're not willing to do what they need to do to get it sold, right? You have an open mind. Kind of hard to do sometimes when you know, pull up to that. Okay, so we talked about condition. Anything else? One thing that you want to make sure you do when you talk about condition, what is the main purpose that their house needs to be clean, pictures need to be put away, personal stuff needs to be put away? What's the main reason?
People can picture their own stuff.
Pardon me?
So people can picture themselves living there.
Exactly. Exactly. And you want their house to stand out above any of the other houses that are in the neighborhood, right? Would it be a good idea if you know you're going on a listing appointment and there's other properties on the market in the neighborhood, is it a good idea to go and preview those homes before you go in? Yeah. How many of you do that?
Shop.
Yeah, good. Good.
So, question on condition, right? And I'm not sure if this would fall in this category or not, but you hear a lot about staging, right? You know, so if you're, you know, talking with your seller about, you know, making sure that things are put away, you know, how far do you go with staging? Meaning, like, do you have somebody come in and, you know, provide recommendations?
You can.
Colors, or, you know, potentially bring furniture in. I mean, you
can. It's really going to depend on your price point. Okay, so anything under 200, I'm going to say you don't necessarily have to do that. Anything over that, well, you know, depending on the area and the price point is what you want to look at. And normally, if the house is vacant, that's sometimes when you really want to have a stager, a professional stager, come in and stage it.
Yeah.
So we have several people in the office that are professional stagers that you could get in contact with that do an excellent job. And then I think we've got a couple of vendors that are in the workroom over there. You know.
Got it.
Yes.
And I've also seen, like, online, and I'm not sure if this is a service or not, but where if you do have an open home, sometimes when you're looking at on FMLS, they'll actually have pictures of furniture actually already
Mhm.
kind of pre-staged in the
Mhm.
home, will show you kind of with and without.
Yes, exactly. And so, actually, who's providing lunch today, and that's gonna give us like 5 minutes talk,
Mhm.
that's what they do.
Okay.
So that's one of the services that they'll do.
I think it also has to do with the house too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like we had to do some massive staging because we had an older house in a like up and coming neighborhood, the one that we sold,
Mhm.
and the floor plan was very choppy,
Mhm.
and so we ended up having to get a bunch of people together to help us move. But we had to take a bunch of stuff out that
Mhm.
looked fine. We were in there, but from a buyer's perspective, we had to kind of wrap around our head that because it's so choppy, you need to get
Right.
anything that wasn't necessary out,
Right.
because otherwise all they feel is cramped.
Right, exactly. Because some houses that you go into in the master bedroom, they've got great big huge, bedroom furniture in there, and so it's making the room look so small. So you'll want to have them take some of that out. And then sometimes you've got real tiny bedrooms to where they don't have anything in there, and then people can't imagine like a double bed or a day bed or anything like that being in there. So you would want to have somebody bring in maybe a day bed or a twin bed and stage that room too, so people can see that it actually can be a functioning bedroom. Depends.
Here,
Yes.
real quick, you said, about you're gonna list a presentation, you would look at the other homes in the neighborhood that was for sale?
Yes.
Now, when you look at those other homes, can you just look at them? Like, I know we as realtors, we can go and look at any house, but we don't have to have a client with us when we're looking at those homes?
No, you can go look at
You
them.
just walk
Yeah,
in
you can,
and click
and
on it.
actually, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and get started previewing homes now and know
Mhm.
your market. Preview as many homes as you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I
Good
did
experience.
with a client, they were being kind of unrealistic what they thought their house would sell for. And I took them to 3 listings in their neighborhood
Mhm.
to say, this is what your competition is. Because they didn't want to hear that their house needed to be painted, that this needed to be done. And they ended up renting it temporarily because they didn't want to invest the money.
Mhm.
But it was a lot better than me saying, you need to put in new carpeting.
Yeah.
Here's your competition, and here's what you're gonna be up
Yeah.
against.
Sometimes that's a great thing to do if they're just not listening to you, and even though you can show them pictures on FMLS of what it is, that sometimes they just visually can't see that. And
Right.
but if they can go and see with their own 2 eyes and touch and feel, sometimes you do have to. I've never had to do that, but that's a good thing to do.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
like,
Yeah, but at the same token though, I mean, you do want that listing, even if,
Yeah.
they're a little bit delusional, and you wanna give a shot at it. So take them there and, I would have listed the property rather than letting them rent to see if there was an opportunity to get a contract offer on it, and maybe they would have seen the light at that point, Taking them there to see what they're up against is certainly, smart, but you do want that listing, you do want a shot at it.
And that's where price comes in.
Absolutely.
So if they don't want to do all that stuff, then you would price it under
Right.
market if they can afford to do that. And if they can't, then, so, yeah.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes.
So this is just advice, right? So in showing homes, right, you go in, you do show, a lot of them have the show time
Mhm.
where you actually make your, appointment. So after you do the showing, and this is kind of like the follow-up, right? So I've been getting, asked for feedback from Showtime, feedback from FLMS, and then
Mhm.
feedback from the agents. I'm getting 3 requests
Right.
for feedback for one showing on the home. Should I go directly to the agent, or should I be putting feedback in all 3? I mean, all 3 is probably too much, but.
Well, I just would do showing time because the agent's getting that.
Okay.
Okay, so the problem is, and one of the reasons, so when you open that lockbox,
Mhm.
so they automatically will send, Supra automatically sends that out. So the agent's not necessarily sending that out, Supra is.
Right.
They've got it set up like that. Then showing time automatically sends back that feedback form, because you can see that most of them are very generic, which you can go in and change those generic forms and ask more specific questions if you chose to do that. Most agents do not go in there and change those forms to ask more specific questions. They're just very generic. And then if the agent's not getting the feedback from showing time or from Super, then a lot of times they'll call you and ask you for feedback.
Right, because it's like, it's so quick. I mean, I showed
Yeah.
7 homes, and after every one, I get like within 45 minutes, the agent's calling me. It's like, what you think, and it's like, I
I'm
mean, I may
not
finish
sure.
my
Yeah.
afternoon here,
Yeah.
and then when I got home, I had all the other requests
Yeah.
on top of it. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, which,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's automated too. It's not really even like the individual person's
Right.
calling you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually pestering. It's
and I'm like, what
crazy.
do I fill out? One,
Yeah.
all, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
No, I actually filled one out and stuff, and it just, it didn't identify, it was automated. And I was
Right.
like, okay, well, that's on my first and last attempt and stuff. If it's automated and it won't identify
Mhm.
my feedback, then I'm not doing it the second
Mhm.
time. Most of the folks are kind of really not interested in hearing it. It seems to
Katie
be
just
automated.
said that she does a lot of that calling, right?
I don't do calling, I send emails if we don't
But the bottom line is people are not replying. All they is just aren't replying.
I've noticed once I personalize the emails, I get a better response.
Yeah.
Like, I just make sure that I put their name in the greeting, like, good morning, Terry, I saw that you showed our listing on this date and this time, what do you think? And I include a picture of the property just to
Right.
refresh their memory.
But you did
And I've got a lot
that
better
because
response.
they didn't do showing
Right,
time.
if they don't respond to the showing time feedback, and it's not right away, it's usually the following day, then I'll send out an email. But if they have, then I just leave it alone.
You can set up showing time to specific. You
Per-
can
per
set
property?
it, per property. You can set it up, you can change the questions on the template, you can customize that. So to where it's not being sent to you 45 minutes later, you can do it for the next day and things like that. But it's really important to give feedback because, that's one of the reasons to stay in touch with your seller is to let them know the feedback. And because if they're hearing from other agents, my client really liked the house, but it needs painting and it needs new carpet, and you've already told them that before taking the listing and they just refused to do it and still didn't price it properly, then you've got ammunition,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My question was just like, which one is best to follow up with? I mean, you got 3
Yeah.
opportunities to respond, right?
Yeah, I would just do showing time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to your point, some of the agents customize the showing time feedback request, and then I've seen one that came back and they had like 12 questions in there. I was like, come on now, like as an agent that we're all like up against the time. We don't have time to answer all those questions. But some of them will actually customize it and just limit it at 4 or 5 questions. And it's really easy to answer them. Even they have drop downs in the app. It's fast. So I do it at night. Like it takes me 5-10 minutes, and it's 10 homes. But I'm thinking like on the other hand, I would like that kind of feedback on my listings as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I mean, this is a very small community, and so getting and working together, getting to know more and more realtors, it sure makes a big difference when you have a transaction that's going south and you have a good rapport. Okay, so one of the things too, in that pre-listing packet, is questions for them. Like, what's the most important thing that you're looking for in a listing agent, right? What prior real estate transactions experiences have you had? How would you like to be communicated with? How frequently would you like an update on marketing? How frequently would you like an update on showings? And please list the most concern about the marketing and selling process. The reason why you want to have that in your pre-listing packet is because these are questions that they probably haven't even thought of to ask themselves to ask you, right? And then the other thing that you also want to ask them, that this one is not as detailed as the one that I have, is if you're interviewing other realtors, do you know if they're full-time or part-time, and are they a realtor or are they an agent? Why is that important?
Realtors.
Board of Realtors go by ethics.
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, that's right. So most people don't, the majority of consumers do not know the difference between a realtor and an agent, because anybody can be an agent, okay, but not everybody's a realtor. Does everybody understand that? Okay.
I didn't realize that.
Yes. Not everybody is a member of the National Association of Realtors, and so not everybody has to go by the Code of Ethics. The other reason too is it's not that they don't have the GAR forms, because you can be an agent and pay to use the GAR forms, which really makes no sense because you have to pay to use the GAR forms if you have to buy them, and the cost to buy them is about the same amount as it costs to join the board. But you will, from time to time, I would get contracts on my listings from agents, and they were not GAR forms. So it wouldn't be that it wasn't necessarily that we would not accept that contract, but we would always make sure we put it on GAR forms. Because the GAR forms are written by attorneys and brokers to protect the consumer. So a lot of times when you get a contract that is not a GAR form, it's written to protect the agent or their company. So for instance, most new construction, they're going to have their own contract. It is not going to be a GAR form.
Yep, and it protects them unbridled.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It is awful. Some of them are just like, oh, unbelievable.
I had one that was like over 50 pages.
I've seen one the other day. I guess it was a new construction, and they had like these agents caravans set up, or whatever kind of agents viewing, and then they had in the contract for the agents to come see the home, like that they had to provide lunch to them, and it was like in fine print.
For the what?
For the agents to provide lunch to the contractor.
That doesn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. Like
maybe
somebody like circled it and pointed it out.
Maybe that was a mistake, because normally they'll provide lunch for you.
It was like, oh no, like it was insane. Like we circled it and laughed at it. Like, anyway.
Well, as an example and stuff, I helped basically a woman buy a new construction, and wound up being that the real estate company and the arbitrator and the attorney were one and the same after we did some research. And so when we got to the moment where they were basically past due, so to speak, on their closing date, the original closing date, I said, are you sure you want to stay in the fold with this? Because they're obviously protecting themselves. Then there was, contingencies and conditions on the walkthrough and warranty and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was over 50 pages long. And you really, as a realtor, you had to go through all of it to understand. They had like a 45-day worst case scenario if they weren't going to necessarily close over unilateral extension without our approval.
Okay.
So I forced them to trigger that at the time that they first had their misfire on the closing date, so that they couldn't pull it out as a trump card, later on down the road. I mean, you got to really, really look at that stuff in new construction.
You do, and I would highly recommend, if you're going to do new construction, that you get the agent, the on-site agent, to send you the contract prior to taking your client out there to write it, and go through that contract with a fine-tooth comb. Because one thing, it is not a requirement in the state of Georgia to have a survey done, right? However, a lot of new construction is insisting, which I always insisted that my buyer get a survey done to protect themselves. It's best. But if a buyer doesn't want it, and they're signed this contract that says you're going to pay for a survey, which surveys can be expensive, then they're stuck. So there's a lot of things that you need to watch on that. So just make sure you get those contracts before you take your client out there to do that.
What about yesterday I was working with a client that was thinking to make an offer on an open door home.
Okay.
And he almost made the offer himself as just a buyer, because they allow you to put in the offer yourself as a buyer without any agent. I told him, stop, wait, let's check it that, because you might not have any protection and stuff like that. So he did the same case also, like where they won't have any
I don't know where their brokerage fee.
Okay.
I know there's a licensed broker in the state of Georgia. I don't know if they're realtors or not.
Okay.
One thing you want to watch on Open Door, Knock, a couple of the other companies too. You can read in the FMLS, it'll say won't be ready for FHA financing until, like, say, April 18th, 2019. The reason why is because it's a flip. So FHA and VA has very strict guidelines on those type of things. Okay, so if he's FHA approved and he's writing an offer on that, it's not going to go. Okay. About me, you want to send a letter with your pre-listing packet that talks a little bit about you, your expertise, and if you don't have any expertise right now, there's plenty of expertise that you can pull through Keller Williams, connects and talks about what we've done as a company, how many agents, how many listings, all the stats and everything that we have to provide. That's a way to get around that. Technology.
So if you're competing against another Keller Williams office, do we have stats here about Atlanta perimeter?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we sure do. Technology, talk about technology. Communication. The majority of the time, whenever I took an expired or a withdrawn listing, it was because the agent before me did not communicate with the seller. And that's where they get really upset and very disenchanted with us as agents, right? Because they think we're all the same. So communication with your seller, it's better to go overboard with that than not at all, or just a little at a time. Does that make sense? Clients for life. Like I said, when you get to the point that your business is 99% referral, you get paid. Awards and recognitions, if you have some, and even if you're coming from a different career, put some of those things. Talk about, where you graduated from college. Talk about how long you've been in Georgia, or any of those things. What your family's like. Just let them know. Be very personable. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then talk about your commitment to them, what you're going to do. Make sure that, again, you do not overpromise. Okay? Right? So, any questions on that? All right. So we have a video to watch. Let's see.
Maybe this one. I don't know how to run this.
Nobody knows how to
He does.
You want me to get Diane or Stacy?
I just text Stacy,
Okay.
so I think she's gonna come
Who's
out.
gonna text Diane?
Yeah, I just help.
Stacy, I speak. Come on.
Yeah, I think.
No, I haven't. I worked there and I'm gonna reach out to the little lady that I came under, so she, I don't know this.
You just turn on.
No copy, no comment.
There you go.
But I'm always, I think she should. First she, hey, let me see.
Yeah, I don't know about volume,
I
but.
don't know if that's the one I want, but thank you,
Not
Pete.
exactly.
Hey, is this one the Josh Bass one? That was
Gene Rivers.
Okay, so we're
requested.
not ready for, Gene Rivers, so we're ready for Josh
Well,
Bass.
as long as you basically put
Just gonna show
the,
it.
get the name out there.
Right,
that's
but
all.
my request is that I come on
Okay,
and
let's do.
But you're getting work.
Okay, we're ready to go?
I better get it together.
How do you know?
I already know.
No. I remember.
My name is Gene Rivers, and I'm here today to tell you how to develop your listening skills to a very high level, and after you've done that, you'll be able to go in and take over market share. Number one, the best source for listing leads is from your sphere and past client list. The fact is, the people you know the people that are going to be moving, whether it's at church, school, work, friends, relatives. Focus on making sure they understand you're in the listing business. Create a pre-listing package that you would give every seller, but rename it your guide to selling homes successfully in your market. And then give that to people in your database that you know have influence, as collateral materials that they can give to their friends and refer you. Step two, focus on an area, product, or price range. When you develop mastery of a product or an area, you will much more quickly succeed in those areas. And in that area, or in that product or price range, focus on the FSBOs in that area, the expireds in that area, door knock in that area, geographic farm in that area, and I'm talking a fairly tight area, so that the people in that area will really, really identify with you as someone who can help them sell property for top dollar with low hassle in a short amount of time. Now we're at number 3. Everyone today that's looking at hiring an agent, whether it's a referral, even a past client, or a stranger who's gotten your name somehow, they're going to check you out on the web. So you need to make sure that your website is competent, that you've got basic, powerful content in there, and specifically that on the landing page, the very opening page, there is a direct offering to a seller. Find out what your home is worth, get a guide to selling your home, but if you don't do that, you're going to miss opportunities because people will get your name, check your website out, and go, I don't think so, I've seen a lot better sites. Fix your website with a database that you are working on a consistent basis, and with a tight focus. You build your reputation. If you're visible, you will find you will take over more and more listings, and in a very short amount of time, 12 to 24 months, you will own that market. That's how you take market share.
Okay. That's exciting. Product, price, area.
Just a light?
It's in the back.
There we go.
Oh, thanks. What is that knob there for?
That's the lights up front.
You did it all.
I
Didn't even
did
think
it?
about that.
Can
first.
light.
That's what I was thinking instantly. I was like, what is she turning off?
I don't know. Okay. To turn that off, I don't think we do that on
Terry,
anymore.
I heard him say that before you turn that screen off, your guide to selling homes successfully in Tallahassee, he said, build that thing and send it out to your sphere of influence now, not just people that might be thinking about selling a house. So building this thing and sending the whole however many pages out to everybody you know.
Yeah, you could certainly do that.
The key
That's what
word,
he was suggesting.
Right.
the key he said was who have influence. For instance,
What he said was, the people you're sending this are the people who have influence.
like people who maybe work in relocation.
Well, he's just saying that everybody you know is important.
Yeah, that's true. Don't discount anybody.
So give it to everybody that we know.
That's basically what he said.
Yeah, that's what Gene says. I mean, he's very, very successful. He's a very successful agent.
I had a quick question. How much are our print copies here?
I don't know.
And do we bind here, or do we need to like go to a store?
Pardon me?
If we wanted to make a booklet and get it binded
You can bind it here.
in
Yeah.
in the office.
And also at Office Depot, we get a 20 to like 30% discount on print, and if you go into your My KW, there's a place where you can print out your your Office Depot little card, and then you get a savings, and it's nice, it's like I printed up some posters and had them laminate it and put it on boarding, and it was 30% off.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And actually, talking about that, there's a lot of discounts that we receive. If you go into resources, it'll pull down all the different vendors that give us discount. I mean, I'm talking like renter cars, airlines, cell phones, all kinds of stuff.
Because after Pete said that, I was like, I'm going to need some more paper.
Yeah, yeah, you will. Yeah. Okay. Listing appointment. So let's talk about that for just a minute. I know we have lunch coming in at 11:30, I believe, and we're going to take a break to do that. So, listing appointment. So, how important is it to be on time to your listing appointment?
Critical.
It's very critical, because what does that do?
It shows you do what you say when you say you're going to do it.
Exactly.
First impressions are last.
Yeah. First impressions are last impressions. Okay. To greet them at the door, right? Very important. Walk through the house, not the home, the house. And one of the things that I did, you have to just kind of determine, as you're going through these steps, what you are most comfortable with and what works for you. For me, I never wanted the sellers to walk the house with me. Okay? The reason I didn't want the sellers to walk the house with me is because I wanted to see it through a buyer's eyes. With the seller walking the house through with me, I'm not able to take the kind of notes that I want to take And not only that, I definitely do not want to sit there and have that conversation with them about this ugly tile that they put in the bathroom that they think is great, okay? Because that happens, you know, that's their taste, but that's might not be a neutral palette, and all of a sudden you're going, I agree, yeah, I love this. And then you're going to get feedback from everybody, oh, that stuff is ugly. Then the seller's going to come back to you and go, well, I thought you said you loved it, right? So if you're walking through the house by yourself and you can take notes yourself and see things, then you can go and have a great professional conversation with them about the things they need to do. Yes, Pete?
You've already done the CMA when you walked into this meeting?
No, that's the last thing I do.
The last thing meaning this next appointment? Well, all right.
Okay.
Have you already done the CMA and you've got it in your
Oh,
pocket?
yeah.
All right, but you just walked in and you said, it's got terrible, you got to rip out all this stuff, so how can it be comparable?
Well, again, for me, that comes with experience and also previewing. So what I would highly recommend for you before you start doing this is you're going and previewing other homes in that neighborhood.
Well, I understand,
to see that.
and you already know that every house in the neighborhood is $500,000, and they're in the CMA, theirs is listed there also, and the CMA says theirs is $500,000, and then you walk in and you go, oh my God, they got to do $50,000 worth of stuff in here.
Right.
So technically, it's not worth $500,000, right?
No, not at that point. But then you're going to be able to explain to them during the listing appointment. Yeah, so you'll be able to go through there, you know, and say, you know, given this is your competition, right? These are the houses that we currently have, and if you look through here, everything is neutralized. You know, they've updated the baths, they've updated the kitchen. You see how all the tile is very neutral and all that. Well, in order for us to get top dollar for your house, you know, $500,000, these are the things that you're going to have to do. Right. So a lot of that too comes with the pre-qualification questions that you're going to ask them before you go to the appointment. So when you're on the phone with them, before you even go and before you send them the pre-listing packet, there's a list of pre-qualification questions to ask them that's more detailed than this one. So for instance, mine was, you know, tell me about the upgrades you've done to the house since you've owned it, okay? So you're trying to get a feel for if they've done any renovation.
But wouldn't you rather ask them that question face-to-face as opposed to over the telephone?
You can, I wouldn't, because I want to get there and get the listing appointment done and get my listing agreement signed and get out of there. I don't want to spend hours of time with them. But that's just me. You know,
I find that supposition's a poor route. I think you need to visit the property and then see it firsthand before you communicate. And if something's not, I use the word, it's not atypical, you know, there's, you know, unique, like you said, if there's something and stuff that doesn't look atypical, that's the word that I use. So, you know, I've looked at, well, atypical, typical, whatever you decide you want to use. But what I say to folks, like, you know, so this isn't necessarily a typical scenario in reference to the appointments of the property that you've done. It may actually suit somebody's taste, but this is what's common in your neighborhood. And that's a really good way to touch on it, to let them know it may not hunt with most of your buyers. If you want to leave it like this, you know, it may not be, you know, super fast. But, you know, you don't want to basically insult them.
Exactly. So, for instance, the way that I do things doesn't necessarily mean that's the way that you're going to do things. I personally would never do a two-step listing presentation. Never, ever. 21 years, I've never done a two-step listing presentation. Because I am more very direct and want this done and signed and out of there. Okay? And so a lot of people believe in the two-step listing presentation. What I mean by a two-step listing presentation is they do go to the house and they preview it first, then they'll go back and they'll do the comps and all of that. I prefer not to do it that way. And so those are kinds of things that you'll have to judge when you start going out and meeting with people and seeing if that's the method that you prefer. Sounds like that's something that you do. Is it more of a two-step listing presentation?
Absolutely not, I want
Okay.
to list when I'm there.
But you want to go ahead, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying then as far as.
Oh, no, I want to list when I'm there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all about striking a deal when I'm
Okay.
there. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't go back if that's what they asked for, but,
Mhm.
you know, I do want to list immediately.
You know, there might be some circumstances, like if you're listing a luxury property, right? Then you may want to do a two-step listing presentation with them because you're walking that luxury home, and then that's a different scenario than just your run-of-the-mill, you know, $500,000 neighborhood that all the houses are pretty much going to be the same. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. You're looking at me like it doesn't, so that's why I'm asking.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
Have you done your CNA class yet in this class?
no.
Okay, so one of the things sometimes you may do on a CNA is you may print out the one and give a pretty basic one to your client, but on the one you have, because it doesn't usually say square footage, it won't tell you if it has a basement, it won't tell you if there's updates. On mine, I've written all that, I have abbreviations that I use, so I know which one has a basement, which one upgraded the bathrooms, which one had upgraded kitchens, so that when I'm talking, I can say, oh, but this house already had this, and because they're gonna say, well, why did that house sell for, you know, $520?
Because it has
Well,
a basement.
Has a basement, and it had updated kitchens and updated floors.
Mhm.
Do you have that?
Mhm.
You know. Supposedly in our new KW that's coming with Kelly,
Mhm.
it's gonna allow you to, before you go, to send a pre-listing of show them other pictures of houses in the area, and they can tell you if their kitchen is as nice as that, and they'll be able to do it.
Well,
That's gonna be in our new system coming.
You can do that with the Cloud CMA now.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 But they're gonna have it through Kelly.
Yeah. Yes. So, okay, back to where I was. Where was I? Back to really far. Okay. But doing the walkthrough, that's how I prefer to do it, is just by myself. And typically what I would do is I would walk in. Now, I've already sent them my pre-listing packet. This is also the beauty of a pre-listing packet. So with my pre-listing packet, I would send them, attached to that, the seller's disclosure statement, the community HOA statement, and I would send them the consumer disclosure about why it's important to use a realtor, and also the other one about being, you know, what to look out for when selling your home, or however it's entitled. So when I walked into that house and I saw on the dining room table that they've already got the seller's disclosure statement filled out, I know I've got the listing. That's the best feeling in the world. Okay? All right? And because now you pretty much know all you have to do is walk the house, take the notes, sit down with them, and go over price, and boom, you're done. Right? So that's the other reason for a pre-listing packet to be sent. So walking through, what I would do is I would go in and I would take a manila folder with me, and I would take the printout sheet, so your FMLS printout sheet, and it has on there, do you know what I'm talking about, the printout sheet?
Yes.
Okay. What it is for you that don't know what it is, it's several sheets, and it talks about, it has the address, and it asks, you know, is it gas, is it electric heat, you know, how many bedrooms does it have, all of the particulars on there. So you've got that in your manila folder, so you can check it off as you're going through the house, right? Then you'll want to make notes on there on your manila folder, like, is it stainless steel appliances? What kind of appliances are they? Are they Wolf appliances? Are they Kenmore? Are they GE? You know, all of that factors in to pricing, right? So then once you get through with that, then I would come back down and I would say, let's go and sit at the dining room table or the kitchen table, and then I would talk to them about maybe some things that I see that needs to be done. For instance, you know, if there's rotted wood, that needs to go ahead and be taken care of, and here's the reason why, right? We know it's going to come up on the inspection, for sure. Now this is, so go through all of those things with them, the things that they need to do. At that point in time, you're talking also with them about, you know, you want to make sure that all your valuables are locked up, right? Okay? You want to make sure that all your drugs are put away and locked up, if there are any, right? You want to also take down all your pictures. People don't understand why it's so important to take down pictures, but I've shown houses to people where all they're doing, they're not looking at the house, they're looking at everybody's personal life, you know, and all the pictures on the refrigerator and everything. So it just doesn't show as well. And you want the people that are looking at the house to really look at the house, right?
I'm assuming you're removing the nails?
Yes, they should
All right, so
remove.
what about when they've got the little grommets in there where they screwed them in? You're removing those and repairing the sheetrock painting?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
In my house, I was able to put artwork.
I was gonna say, or just put a different picture there.
Yeah, I put artwork instead. Like, there were too many places where I had stuff hanging that was too personal, so I took down a lot.
Okay.
And
You still need to make
replaced
sure
with
it's
Artwork.
Yeah.
Generic
Like
artwork,
all
yeah.
that stuff, you know, or like little trinkets and things like
Right.
that. And then you also want to make sure that they understand how important it is that the kitchen counters are just completely clean. Because, and all of those pictures off the refrigerator, because when the counters are just, I mean, even with coffee makers, and you've got your blender on there, and you've got your Ninja, and you've got your toaster, and you've got your crock pot, you know, it gets really crowded. And then the other thing that people love to do is put stuff up above their cabinets, right? You know, you want them to clean all of that stuff down. It just needs to be eyesight just clean, just absolutely clean, because it makes the house look bigger. Helping them to understand that's really important, and then I sit down with them and I go over the market analysis with them, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can do a market analysis. I prefer to do the one that's an FMLS. It's the easiest to me, and it's very comparable, and you can add and delete from there. It will even give you a suggested price sometimes. Not all the time will it give you a suggested price if the square footage is off, or if it comes back and says not enough information to give you, you know, an accurate price. But don't always go by that suggested price. Okay, you really need to learn how to study the CMA and look at what's on the market. That's your competition. But what is sold is what's going to be the most important thing. And how far back do you go for sold?
I go back about 180 days.
Okay, 180 days. Okay. What if it's a neighborhood though that hasn't had any sales in the last year? What do you do?
I try and jump out on a bigger radius.
Okay.
About a mile, right?
Right, about a mile. Yep. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. So when you're doing a current market analysis, what are the things that you're looking for the most?
Comparable style of construction, quantity of bedrooms, and square footage.
Okay.
Or just the layout stuff is fairly similar. You can't basically say a two-story is comparable to a ranch and things. You have to use the similar, you know, style and such.
Correct. So if you've got a ranch that you have the listing appointment for, and everything else in the neighborhood is a two-story that is sold, what do you do?
Jump out a bigger radius.
Yeah, jump out a bigger radius. And is a ranch typically more expensive than a two-story, or vice versa? Yeah, why is it more?
Well, I mean, it's a bigger footprint, there's larger square footages and more construction materials.
Correct.
And it seems to be a little bit more sought after and more of an anomaly right now than most of your two-stories.
Correct. Does everybody get that? A ranch is typically more expensive because of the footprint. So, for instance, if you was looking at new construction, a ranch is always going to be priced higher than a two-story, right? Because you've got to have more land to get the same square footage in a ranch than what you do on a two-story. That's why a ranch on a basement is really sought after, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then I would go over, if they don't have any more questions on the market analysis. For me, what I always did, and this will also vary on some things that you've pointed out or wanted to discuss, I always had the price in my listing agreement. So I've already got my listing agreement fully typed out and the price in there that I want to price the house at. Not everybody likes to do it that way, right? But I like to do it that way because I'm very confident that I've got that house priced correctly. Now, if I get in there and there's something odd, then all we got to do is strike through it, and then she'll buy it, right? Now, I will not ever take a listing if they will not agree with me on price. Never ever. And hand to God, I've never done it in 21 years. Some people will. That's going to be up to you. But for me, it was a waste of my time to take a house that I know is overpriced. Because I'm spending money on marketing the property that's not going to sell. And I'm not going to get paid until it closes. Right? Because I have professional pictures done. Right?
Do you pay that or do the sellers pay that?
I pay it.
Okay.
I pay for that. I pay for my professional pictures, I pay for the YouTube channel, I pay for the Keybox channel, and everything.
What is a Keybox channel?
I know.
It's on Roku. It's Keyboom, and so the houses are on TV.
And people watch that?
Huh. So,
I've never heard of it.
it depends on your marketing costs and what type of listing that you're taking and what the price point is going to be too, as to what your marketing costs are going to be.
Okay.
All right. So, for instance, I had a house that I went to, and no kidding, East Cobb, by the way, Pete. Very popular neighborhood, sells very well, and the whole house is avocado green, including the ceiling.
Oh God.
Yeah, the ceiling is avocado green. I'm not kidding. Blonde hardwood floors that the kids, the cleats, that just gouges throughout the entire house. The kids' room was painted solid black.
Oh.
And then go down into the basement, and it was like a pet shop in there. So, get back up. You know, I'm talking to them about price.
Were you the first listing agent in?
First listing agent, only listing agent they were interviewing. It was a referral to me too. And I hate to not take a referral, but again, you know, I'm not going to take something that they don't agree on price. So I explained to them that they had to paint the son's bedroom, get it neutral, that they were going to have to paint the ceiling, they were going to have to paint the walls, that they were going to have to redo the floors. It was 3/4 inch, so they would be able to redo them instead of replace them. And that they were going to have to clean out the pet store. And when I say pet store, it was wall to wall, ceiling to floor, fish tanks, and gerbil tanks, and hamster tanks, and snake tanks. And I'm not kidding. So, so the price that I originally wanted to list it at was what the neighborhood would bring. But without them wanting to do all the work to the house, it was going to be needed to be priced as is.
But you had never walked in the house, so you didn't
Correct.
know this.
Correct.
And
Correct.
you'd already put the price in.
Correct.
So you struck it.
Correct. And I said, it's not going to bring this because here are the houses. And I always took my laptop too so that I could get on FMLS with them, because you're printing your CMA out, at least I did in color, but that doesn't necessarily paint the true picture, right? So I would always take my laptop so I could pull up FMLS for them and then show them the live picture so that they could see what had sold in there and what bought the highest price. And some people just think their avocado green ceiling is the bomb and that everybody else is going to love it. They really do. You know, they really do. Or this wallpaper that was put in 30 years ago is the bomb, right? But we know better. But, you know, trying to convince people that sometimes just doesn't work. So then I had to lower the price by about $15,000.
That's not much.
No, it wasn't much. It wasn't much at all to lower the price. It wasn't a big house, you know, and so, but it wasn't much. Now they had done a lot of work on the outside. The outside looked great actually, and then you walk in and so, but they didn't want to do it, and I said, I'm sorry, you know, that we can't work together. And she looked at me like, you're leaving? I'm like, yes, ma'am, I'm leaving. Well, you're not going to list my house today? No, ma'am, not unless we're going to list it for this price. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, I can't take your listing then. That's me. It'll be up to you to decide whether you want to do that or not. Okay.
But you remembered this deal, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
So what did it sell for?
It never did. They never put it on the market.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yep, I mean, they may have now, that was probably about 5 years ago.
Well, you were also gonna tell them that they gotta get rid of the snakes and the gerbils and all the rest of it, right?
Oh, yeah, I did tell them
They
that.
weren't gonna do that.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then another house I went to go list, which was also another referral from an agent that him and I did a lot, of work together, and we actually met through the Georgia Association of Realtors conventions, because he lives out in Monticello, Georgia, and so we would refer, work back and forth to each other. And he said, I don't know anything about them, you know, but they're wanting to buy a farm out here, and, you know, I'm like, okay, this is East Cobb again, over off of Blackwell, you know, and, an older, contemporary cedar type house. Walk in, and it is, and don't get me wrong, I love pit bulls because my son has a pit bull. I love them. I think they're great. It's a pit bull factory. It really was. I mean, they had pit bulls in the backyard that had destroyed the whole backyard. Little baby pit bulls in the house that had destroyed the whole house. And there was just no way I was going to list that house. Just no way, you know.
So what do people do with like so many pets? Like, because I mean, obviously a lot of people will not get rid of the pets.
Yeah.
So is there any advice, or how do they handle that? How can we help them handle that?
That's a great question. It really depends on the seller's motivation, to be honest with you. If they really, really want to sell the house, then there's solutions, okay? So, but something like that, where it's basically a factory, it's going to be almost impossible unless
Like
they
they
just
move out.
completely move out.
Right.
If they qualify to buy a house without selling that first,
Right.
would be the best scenario for something like that.
Right.
But then I've had people that had 3 dogs, you know, and they crated the dogs, and that was the way that they got around it, is, you know, crating the dogs. Okay. So another thing too is smell on something like that. Smell can be, here's a tip. Take a big Home Depot bucket and go and get a big huge bag of just regular charcoal, you know, and you can put it in that bucket, and that charcoal will absorb all that smell. You can leave it in there for about a week and it'll absorb all that smell. So, because people that are very sensitive to pets, man, that's the first thing they smell. You know? Yeah.
Or cigarettes.
Or cigarettes, yeah. Oh my gosh, I have a very funny story about that one.
Does charcoal work on cigarettes?
I've never tried it on cigarettes. I don't think it would work on that, because the smell just gets into the sheetrock, and I mean, if they're heavy.
My listing has it. We tried the ozone machine, cleaned out the carpet, cleaned out the vents, and
It's
Anthony was doing
sheetrock and everything. It's like,
was doing an open house. Apparently, one woman walked in. That's the first thing she said.
Yeah.
Somebody was smoking in here.
Yeah, you can tell it for sure. Yeah.
Have they tried painting? Because sometimes painting will help.
They didn't paint. They didn't paint.
They didn't paint?
In the walls.
No, because like the management company that was handling the renters just had painted like 3 months before.
Yeah.
So it's all actually fresh paint mainly.
They had to coat it, and then they had to paint it twice.
Yeah. Put kills on it. Yeah, because it's really gonna do some damage. But I had a listing appointment I went into, and so it was a split foyer. Do you know what I mean by split foyer? So we walk in, you know, and we're doing the walkthrough. At this point in time, this was years ago, probably about 15 years ago. And so I had a partner at that time, and him and I both went, and so we walk in, and you know, there's a faint smell, but you can't really tell what it is. But all the kids' bedrooms are back here to the right, so we walk back there first, and there's no smell back there at all. Then we come back through, we're in the family room, you smell it. Then you get to the kitchen, you smell it. Then you go back to the master, and you really smell it. Then you go in the master bedroom, and you really, really smell it, right? And then so we go over the listing agreement with them, we go over price with them, and then Mark and I go outside to get the sign and all that. And I looked at Mark and I said, so, do you want to tell them to quit smoking pot in the house, or do you want me to? So, you know, but you really have to have those honest conversations with people. For real. Okay, so we talked about walk through the home. One of the things, too, that you would want to have in your folder, I would suggest, are different things to help them, or pre-listing packet, I'm sorry, is I always ended the pre-listing packet with, these are the things to have ready for me. an extra key, right? A copy of the deed and a copy of the survey, if they have a survey. Also, a copy of the utility bills or an average, what the garbage company is, who the power company is, because not everybody uses Georgia Power, right?
Right.
So, who the gas company is that they use, who the water company is, and all that. Just have a list of that, because sometimes buyers are going to ask for, what's the average utility bill for the house and all that stuff. Emergency contact phone numbers, right? Their work number, their emails, all of that kind of stuff, to have that ready for me when I come, right? Okay, okay, then we're on page 27, I think. Would you like for me to help you set up?
No.
Okay, you're done?
No, I said I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm moving stuff.
Okay, awesome. Got to sign your home. It does say here to confirm the appointment time. I never did that. And I'm so grateful I never did confirm the appointment time. One of my listing appointments, I got there at 10:30 in the morning, knocked on the door. They came to the door. They forgot about the appointment, and they said, well, we don't think we can sell the home anyways because we owe this. And I was like, well, you're in great position because I've already done your CMA for you, and, let's talk about price because you can get a lot more for the house than what you think you can. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. So we went and sat down at the kitchen table, and sure enough, we sold their house in less than 7 days, and, so that was one of the reasons that I just never confirmed time. I didn't want to give them the opportunity to tell me, to say no. But I'll leave that up to you again.
That happens to me every day. I do apartments, and that's usually what happens. Are you still coming in later? Actually, not coming. So I quit policies.
Yeah. No. So, let's see. And then, you would want to ask them if they've had a chance to look at the pre-listing packet. Hopefully they did, because that gives them a lot of information. And then this talks about guide of selling your home. Some of these things here about discuss the motivation for selling, hopefully you're going to know what that is before you go and talk to them, right? I don't like to rehash things. When I'm talking to somebody, you've already found out this information, so hopefully. Define your 10+ experience expectations. I do think that's important to find out from the seller what they're expecting from you, because it tells you what you're going to be able to do for them, but you also want them to understand what you expect too, right? Yes. It's a two-way street, right? Okay. Review what you can expect from the color whims and needs, so that's on there. I explained the selling process from listing to closing. That's in my pre-listing packet, that is, for me. Review the 3 factors that get your home sold, decide to work together, and uncover and prioritize needs. I wonder if she's ready.
Can we take a bathroom break?
Absolutely. Why don't we just go ahead and take a break? I think she's ready anyways, and then we'll pick it back up.
So just real quick, public service announcement. So governor canceled all schools and state offices are closed tomorrow.
Already?
Yes. So my wife's a teacher, so she just sent the letter from
oh no. The schools and
state
government
offices.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
There goes my
Y'all go ahead and take your bathroom break and come on back, because she needs to. We want to give her. Hey! Can y'all listen for 1 second, please, before you leave? Go ahead and take your bathroom break, and then come on back, because we want to give her the opportunity to tell us what she can do for us. Right? Thanks, guys.
What? Did you say?
Harry, I have 20 people we're supposed to be coming to my
Can you send that to me?
Yes.
I would text, but I'd be a picture.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I spoke to the manager of the store.
Thanks, Kathy.
They don't have anything for Phil. You have to go through the booking company, and they haven't contacted me back. I sent them an email yesterday going, due to the emergency of the weather,
people?
So it's like 11 copies.
That's amazing.
What did you, what?
Polk County Pizza Domino.
Well, do you really think it's good? I mean, I haven't looked at the weather today, but is it really supposed to be that bad?
Hi,
how are you?
Once it gets dark, that was that.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And it was starting at 6. Sun goes down. Sun goes down.
They're closed already.
They're panicking because it's Super Bowl.
Well, they're panicking too because a couple of years ago when they
Oh, I
didn't
know.
close everything and
And they
everybody got
got
stranded.
But I can't tell me to tell you that I kept my kids home and nothing happened.
I know, it's crazy.
But they're
Yeah.
very
I know.
super cautious because the last time the Rams were here was the Super Bowl.
Really?
We had
Yeah,
the big
5
party.
years
Yeah.
ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, was that 5 years ago?
No, it was more
Well,
than
they
that.
had 5 years ago, we had a ice storm before, when last time we
Yeah, but
hosted the
Super Bowl, which was
Oh, okay.
about,
2000.
So what was it?
yeah,
It
because it was the
four
start of the
years
year,
ago.
1999 or
I thought it was
2000? No, it was
2000.
2000. I was pregnant with my son.
We've had a few, I know we had one like
The really bad
8
ones.
years ago.
The really bad ones where everybody got stranded and people
There
were
were
having to
two.
sleep with other.
8 years ago there was one, and then there was one
About 2 years.
after that.
I guess that was 5 years ago. God, 5 years ago has gone by so fast.
I'm around counting.
Uh-huh.
We've met, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, I've been in here for
I
a
don't
couple of years, so I just didn't, I was just thinking on this, because I
Good.
was taking, yeah.
Good.
Anyway, and I was listening to a presentation on Wednesday, I was like, oh, it won't hurt, I had to come in and print stuff, so I figured out I could work and listen.
Well,
to
at least
something.
I
I do have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So if someone said they don't wanna, that they need to sell, they're moving out of the country, but they don't plan on moving until like June, after the kids are out of school, what would you tell them? When's
I-
it listed?
Once it's, I'm sorry, once it's listed?
No,
or-
when would you tell them it's listed?
Oh, well, I would go ahead and set that appointment and get face to face.
Oh, I'm meeting her Wednesday,
Okay,
yeah.
good. But they don't need to move until
They
June?
don't wanna move until June.
I would go ahead and try to get it listed probably March would be my timeframe. And then just explain to them, like, let's just get an offer and then we can work out, you know.
But you don't,
the-
so I've heard different strategies. You still price it accordingly, or would you price it a little bit higher, knowing that they're gonna have to sit on the market a little bit longer on purpose, like they can't sell it? Or they don't wanna sell it until. On the high, I mean like on the high end of the comp.
On the high end of the comp. Yeah, if you want to do it on the high end of the comp.
Not out of
Yeah, I
reach.
wouldn't go out of reach, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Even though their house might not be equal to those comps, but you would just still do the.
I don't know.
I
They would have to be
know.
equal. For me, they would have to be equal to those comps to go on the high end even then.
Okay. I haven't been in her house yet. I know her, I just never been in her house.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I know, I've had several listings, you know, on the higher end.
I was trying to get in contact with either Shirley
We
or
actually
Green
took a contract
or
with them,
Timothy
they couldn't move because they were building a house or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were able to do a rent back, you know, for 3 months.
I've done it for
Like that.
neighbors, they did not, they wanted to be on the market because they were gonna miss
Yeah.
those, and we had to get on, I mean, but we priced it on the high end of the comps, and it sat a little bit longer,
Yeah.
but because we agreed to the price, and then they postponed listing it for 2 weeks, and we missed a crucial 2 weeks,
And how
because
many
there's the 2 weeks, the kids already went back to school.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You know,
That
like,
makes a
it was
huge
like,
difference.
it was, but we
Yeah.
did it, it worked out fine,
Yeah.
it actually worked out perfectly for them, but I was
Yeah,
like, we're
it's
taking a
really
risk
good.
by doing this,
Yeah.
but I was like, as long as you understand what we're doing, I did it, because they were, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope it works out.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all. You know how I did?
Yeah.
Turn this on, but I cannot wait.
Oh,
A lot of fun, I love to see him
it should be on. Let me just turn this on. But no, I don't.
11:22.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm done. I'm Terry. Nice to meet you.
Sign in sheet, she may have taken it back up.
You guys eat.
8:21.
Eat while I talk. Next morning.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You're multi-talented.
You were ready to go.
Go in there and talk about what you get done, or would you like me to hear the three things I'd like to?
Yeah,
no, I thought that was.
Okay.
You know, if that's your.
He's gonna be listing out.
Okay, I just know if you were like, hey, it's helpful for me to like know what you want done.
I don't know, if
Well,
I'm just trying to think about it.
Okay.
You'll have the
So when we were talking about in that game plan.
Okay.
But that 30 minutes is also
Yeah.
your time.
How you been? Good, how are you?
You may have that time.
Well, but he knows I'm new in the business, right? So
Oh,
it's,
really?
but, you know, like I said, I've only known him for
Okay.
probably about like
Okay, so that
There's
hopefully
no
will be.
such-
3 months, you know, so
Okay.
just, you know, and, you know, kind of, you know, like, you
I thought.
know, we just talk, you know, like career change, so he knows things
I
that
was
are
there
going
this
on.
morning. I think you all gave me one.
But, you know, like I said, like, Tom the other day, was like, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're gonna move.
Gardenia really
and
came
we're
out
starting,
really,
you
really
know,
nice.
to
Oh, no, yeah,
to
so,
appreciate it.
that's why,
And this is kind of
here,
like,
barring I got
yeah,
out,
kind of like, just, we did our own, like, a small,
during
you know,
surgery,
small group.
and I
like,
got
things
the,
like that.
like, we're
And this was kind of right at the end, so I didn't
copyright,
wanna like, there were a number of
So
people
I'll be kind of,
there.
I told each
I didn't
other,
wanna
I was
like,
like, yeah,
you know,
what's the book about? So basically I've been doing the fair for the last 8 years. After, like I said, it should be more barring there's no like, I don't let it last year, and how other people should be. But I paid like. Let's just not talk Wednesday, because I'll be all over the sharing information with people on how they do the same thing.
And so, additionally, there were.
That's really cool.
And so, with that being said, I'm.
Where did you, publish it?
I'm sorry. How
Your own?
and all that stuff. And my point is, like, I'm like looking at her and I'm like.
Yes, you did. They just sent me this card too.
Price points, I'm gonna show you market.
It just works well.
Price
I think for you guys, yeah, because
Thank you.
Yeah, you have no space, so. Yeah.
Oh, here it goes. I'm sorry, they just got it, they wanted to approve that. Okay, one second. They just took it.
No, go, it's okay.
Yep, yours did pop up to me. Yeah, it declined it. They wanted to make sure. Okay, you should try it again. Thank you. Oh, yeah, next time I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna make sure that the transaction is true.
End of February. That's almost here, and I'm gonna be gone for a week anyway, so they'll remain.
Oh, you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I told her to
Well, we don't look at the game like stuff, but it'll be good, because I'll call back and maybe. Nobody else did.
Okay, are you
kidding? I'll warn them, I should be able to bring back some.
We're working on the airplane, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have, I took all I have, in the market, so I can borrow. Oh my God.
And he brought back a lot of it.
Oh, yeah, Megan is awesome. That's an awesome, and it's not that.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I love.
No, I'm definitely gonna get back on it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. I really.
You can do it.
I can do it. I know I can do it.
How's your house going? Is it gonna be fun?
So I actually enrolled with because like I usually write that weekend of Christmas, right? I'm trying to enroll it. So I would like win that program. So I just do it out and then yeah, I had one offer on that fell through yeah, but the house hunting. Oh my gosh, they
You're not doing that. Like it was.
Yeah.
I want
Next to the country club?
I want
I don't know what concierge is. What concierge is completing the numbers, looking at the phone.
They give you a territory?
That's true. So, that's true. I don't know if I can follow up on that. You can be that and it's almost impossible. 1.5 is, I mean, that's almost impossible. They're just, I think
There's nothing down here that's coming in.
Okay, guys, I always do a drawing for free photo shoot if you have your business card. If you don't have your business card, you can write your name and email address on a piece of paper and just put it in this amazing fishbowl, and we'll do it that way. And the drawing doesn't expire, or the free shoot doesn't expire. Yeah. So I'll pass it over on that way. If it doesn't pass it back, that would be great. Once you guys sit down, I'll get started, because I know you guys are on a time frame.
You did already did it, Katie. What? Yeah, we can have
Okay, so I passed out to everybody a brochure and feedback form. The feedback form will be really important when I'm done talking. So I just want to make sure everybody got one of these if it's a feedback form.
I do?
You don't have to, but then you don't get a chance to win the free photo shoot.
Oh, free photo shoots. Is it like headshots or what?
No. So Bertwin.
I'm just joking. Just messing.
Oh. No, I don't. We don't do headshots.
You can't take me seriously.
I really want some of your water.
I mean, I'll take the lottery ticket or something.
Lottery?
Yeah.
No.
Scratch off, that kind of thing.
A free trip around the world?
Yeah. Minimally.
Yes, exactly.
I'm stopping you over here with making marketing stuff.
Everybody on this side? Y'all enter?
Everybody?
We'll do it at the end. Okay. I'm going to get started. So I'm Jennifer, and I'm with Bertwin. We are a preferred vendor here at Keller Williams.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. And Bertwin's is a real estate photography company. We specialize in real estate photography, and one of the great things about us is we are vertically integrated, which means I only do sales, and then my photography team, all they do is photography. And so that means you will get a photographer in 1 to 3 days, and you'll get photos by 5 p.m. the next business day, because once the photographers take the pictures, everything is sent to Denver, where it's processed and edited, and it's sent back here, and you get it by 5 p.m. the next business day. So I'll run through this presentation. Feel free to ask me questions, and then at the end I'll tell you what the feedback forms are for. That doesn't work. Let's see here. Yep. So, how important is using professional photography?
Very.
Extremely important.
Extremely important, right? So we know that everything is image-based nowadays, right? If I came in here and I was wearing my running shoes and my hat backwards and I didn't brush my hair today, you guys would think, well, she's not really interested in telling me what she does and she's not really professional, right? Think about all the images people are scrolling through online today. Take 2 seconds before they move to the next image. Well, did you guys know that you'll double your income just by using professional photography? So it's a no-brainer, right? Well, think about this. 98.6% of home viewers are looking online before they call you. Okay? So when you think, oh, I'll just snap a picture real fast and post it up there. Well, they're going to move past you really quickly. They also say 86% think images are the most important feature. Take 6 seconds to capture their attention before they're moving on, and 20 seconds before they pick up the phone and call you. So when they're looking at images online and they see that unmade bed, they're moving. When they see the realtor in the background, they're moving. When they see all the tchotchkes, they're moving. When they see the bathroom photo, which is one of the most important images, and they see the shampoo bottles, they're moving. There's so many details that we overlook that they're moving past before they pick up the phone and call you. So, I gave you a little idea of who we are, but Virtuance created HD Reel. And HD Reel is our own imaging processing system, which means, very simply, if you have Heather shoot today your property, and then you have Greg shoot your property tomorrow, it doesn't matter who shoots it because they're all using that HD Reel technology. Basically, they shoot the property, their images are uploaded and sent to Denver, and they go through that HD Reel technology, which means there's 25 different algorithms that make the photos perfect. All the dust and all the imperfections are taken out of it. So it comes back to you beautifully. So it doesn't matter if Tiffany shoots or Greg shoots, they're all using that technology. So, what do we think of this photo?
Exposure's off.
Winners are
So yellow.
So yellow.
It's not crisp. This is not crisp.
What's it focusing on?
Dining room table.
Yep.
Chandelier.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Alright, so now look at this one.
Oh, nice.
Better?
Very.
Oh my God.
Different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you, as a buyer, are looking at pictures online, you want to have a visual experience. You want to imagine yourself actually eating dinner in that room, spending time with your family. And you don't want to focus on the table. You want to focus on the room. So it's not just the photos, but it's our team of photographers that we train. They know what features and angles to focus on. You can also see the light coming into the room, so you can imagine that there's more space and you can envision going into the other room. Also in this photo, the windows aren't blown out, so you can see out of the room.
Right.
And the room is bigger because we're not focusing on the table. One of the things we also do, based on 2 years of research before we developed HD Reel, is we know that buyers like to see the house as if they're going through it. So we send you the photos from out into out. We also know that buyers like to have things labeled. So we're labeling everything for you because we know your purpose is to prospect, to meet with sellers, to meet with buyers. So you don't need to take the time to do that yourself. So we're labeling everything for you. And in the South, different rooms have a lot of names. There's foyers, there's stuff like that that have a lot of detail. Especially in Decatur, in houses that have been expanded, the rooms can get very complicated. So we would like to have as much detail as possible. So, since partnering with Virtuance, here are some stats that I always like to show. Our clients have won more listings, they've increased their showings, and they've sold their listings faster. Which means to you guys that our clients are happy and they're referring us to more people, which means you're getting more business, which means ultimately you're making more money. Now I like this. Everybody knows Stacy, right? So Stacy used us, and what I like about this story is that she used us for a townhome. And there's 1,000 million townhomes in Atlanta, right? And one of the things you need to do with a townhome property is stand out. So this is the listing, and as you can tell, it looks like the next door one, right? So she used us to take the photos, and by using Virtuance, Stacy received multiple offers. She went under contract in 2 days. The average was 23, and she got the highest price in the neighborhood. She got $249,000, which was the original list price. So by getting the highest price in the neighborhood, she was able to take this metric, which I put together for her, and she went to another person in the neighborhood that didn't want to list with her before because she was a little nervous about it, and she said, look what I got. And this person was able then deciding to go with her. So based on what we did, we took this metric and turned it into a pre-listing tool for Stacy, that Stacy was able to go to everybody in the neighborhood and farm the neighborhood with this metric. Which I do a lot of times for clients. When they have a great story, we put it together in a metric for them. Stash report, free marketing tool. Who likes free stuff?
Kiara likes free stuff.
I like free stuff, especially when it helps me make more money. So when you use Virtuance, every time you have a listing, we're going to send you a stats report that tells you how many people are looking at your photos and which photos are most popular. So as we were talking about earlier, you want to know which photo is most popular because you have 6 seconds before they move on. So if you're getting the most hits on one picture and not any hits on another photo, you're gonna wanna move that to the front, right? So we're gonna tell you which one. Also, everywhere you put our virtual tour, we're gonna show you which, where it's getting the most hits. We track it for you. And we're about to come out with a new marketing platform. That's our new thing that's going to be coming out in the next couple of months. But we're actually going to be pulling leads for you, and you're actually going to get named. That's the new thing for us. But right now, this is what we give you, and we get it to you every week or every month. So if you ever have that situation where a client, maybe they want to list a house for a little bit more than you think it should be listed for, and it's sitting for a while, and you need to have that uncomfortable talk about lowering the rate, this is a great little thing to bring into your conversation. I had a client do it a couple weeks ago. They showed them the stats report. They lowered the rate of the house sold 2 days later. This is our pricing. I'm giving away the 25 image package today for $149. We price by number of images, 10, 25, or 40. 40 is the max you can put on FMLS and Georgia MLS. We also do twilight shoots. They're beautiful, and we shoot at twilight. It is not photoshopped in. We do aerial as well. Additional stuff, we do interactive subdivision. That's something I want to point out, guys. When you have a listing that's in a subdivision that has a pool, tennis court, stuff like that, you need to purchase a subdivision package. It gives you 5 additional photos, and it gives my photographer time to go shoot that stuff. If you don't add that on, they just don't have the time to go shoot it. If it's in a condo and it's in the building, it's included in your package. And this is just additional stuff we offer, brochures, blue skies, it's raining, stuff like that. Last, ordering. You can order 1 to 3 days, you get a photographer, you get photos by 5 p.m. like I mentioned, and you can order online or over the phone. If you like to talk to people, you can call customer service if you have questions, or you can order online. Something I like to point out, I cannot order for you. I don't know my photographer's schedule, and it has to be done either through the online system or customer service. Last thing, this is the most important thing, feedback forms. I gave you all one. If you can write your name, email address, and I can read it, so I can get to the right person, you'll get 15% off your next shoot. I know a lot of you guys are new agents. There's supposed to be a 2-week time frame for this, but I kind of give you guys a break on that. So when you get your first listing, call me, remind me that we did this class together, and I'll give you that discount. But you have to fill out the form so you're in my system. That is it. Questions? Yes, sir.
Explain license.
So our photos, like, we own all of our photos.
Right.
However, you can use them for any marketing way you would like.
For what period of time?
As long as you would like. There's no expiration.
And they're JPEG images to us?
Mm-hmm. So we send them to you in an email format. You get the virtual tour, it's branded and unbranded. You also get the photos of 3 different sizes, print size, small, medium, and large. And you can use them forever as long as you want. However, say in a year, that client, you go back and relist that house and it's being sold somewhere else and you get it again. You can't use those same photos again. It needs to be reshot because another client owns the listing.
But I can use photos in any social media I want for any period of time.
Exactly. The reason we want to own them is, say, for example, Sears decides to put them in a catalog. We are going to go after Sears. You don't need to.
Yeah, no, I understand copyright.
Yeah. So you have...
I didn't.
Right, and so she's publishing a book, and so she bought one image from us so that she can use it in her book. Does that make sense?
But it could be a picture that you got from one of us.
We took the picture.
But so we call you to take a picture of our house.
Mm-hmm.
We can use it and you can use it.
Right. It's our photos. We own it.
So you're just letting us use it for our listing?
You can use it for however you would like. Yes.
And you can use it however you would like to?
Yes. It's our. We own them.
Got it.
Yes, correct. So it'll be like, if I decide it's going to be maybe on our website because this is an amazing photo and we want to showcase it. Yes, correct.
Okay.
But we don't take pictures of, like, it's only real estate. So
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, do we need to
have the
disclose
homeowner
it?
sign on that, that you're using their house on marketing materials?
I think there's probably copyright somewhere that says that. I mean, we've never run into an issue with it. I don't think. Are you sure? I mean, I can ask for you if that's.
We have like to make customer sign the affiliated marketing.
Yeah,
That's different.
That doesn't include that?
No,
So you
that
have a
just
new
says
owner in
that
the house and
they
all of a
may
sudden-
be,
I can ask what you're
they may be
asking,
getting
but I
benefits.
understand it. I just.
Tell KW criminal.
Yeah, I understand what you're asking, and I can ask you for you. Write it on the sheet so I can.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'll ask.
Can you add furniture in if the house is empty?
Virtual furniture, we are not there yet. It is something it's something that I believe will be, but it's not there yet. We also, however, if you do virtual staging, you do need to use a professional photographer for that. Okay.
I have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
The enhancements that you showed on there, you have a, pricing for those?
Yes, everything is online. If you go to virtual.com, and you can just put in the zip code, and you will get all the pricing for everything. Also, if you go to virtual.com and go to the bottom of the page in the service area, you will see everywhere we cover. We cover a huge area of Atlanta. But if you're looking to go to Noonan, if you're going to Cartersville, something like that, there are travel fees that go straight to our photographers for their gas, for their time. The $25 or $50 travel fee. So do check that out if you are looking to go somewhere very far. We also have free listing tools, guys, that you can use, a photo checklist that you can pass along to your photographer, to your clients, to let them know how to get ready for the photographer. So you're not the one that is the bad guy. It says, hey, it's a good idea if you go ahead and get rid of your pet today. Not to get rid of, but and put away your tot teas and shampoos and stuff like that. And we also have listing tools, like you can download our before and after photos, so you can see a flyer. All that stuff is free to use, and we want you guys to use it.
Hey.
You don't do the virtual tour thing, that's extra.
Nope, that comes free.
That comes free.
Yes, when you work with us, you get a virtual tour that's branded and unbranded, because unbranded has to go on FMLS. The branded, you can put on your Facebook, anywhere, any social media.
And do you have a website where all these virtual...
Where you can see an example?
No.
They host them on their website. That's how they give you the metrics back.
I've used a photographer in the past that they actually have a landing page for each.
So that's what I was talking about that we're introducing in the next month or stuff. It was supposed to be, in January. It's just there's some hiccups. Stacey is actually, I've walked her through the demo, so she knows what it is. When it's introduced to you guys, you'll get, instead of getting just the email, you'll be sent an email, but it'll actually be their own, each listing will have its own website, which you dedicate to the listing.
We don't know when that's going to happen yet.
I mean, it should be within a week, yeah. And that'll be more dedicated, and it's great, yeah.
So, you had said, we talked about the subdivision, how much more is the subdivision package, and...
$39.
And do we, once we shoot a subdivision, can we use those over and over again? So, I have a house in a X subdivision, and then 6 months later I get another house in that same one. So all the pool and tennis and clubhouse are all the same, so.
Yeah, so if you ask customer service, you ask me, no, but I'm not in your email.
You can use it.
Yes.
I want to recap one more time. 10 pictures.
$99.
And 3D.
The Vergano or the virtual tour?
Virtual tour.
That's included.
For the $99.
Yes.
Same for the $150.
$149? Yes.
Hey. Gotta put my taxes in this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And you can look at all this online. You can also, my card is included. You guys call me and I'll walk you through it. I know you're going to have questions. So call me. Also, customer service is amazing to answer questions and walk you through stuff too when you have your first listening or you just have questions. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so fill out those forms. Let's do a drawing and then I'll let you get back to your class.
happen.
I need to put my name in.
Did everybody put their card in? Do you want to draw?
Sure.
Here.
Hannah, Corey!
So, the $149 credit goes towards anything at Virtuance, and it doesn't expire.
Okay.
So.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
I forgot your name. I was like, who? AC.
Make sure you play the lottery tonight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you so much. Let's give her a big hand for
Thanks for having me, guys, and I hope that you all avoid the crazy weather. I will come grab this and get out of y'all's hair.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to pick up on page 38, talking about what you get from me in the listing presentation. So I can't stress enough, just to make sure that before you give any of this information to anybody, just go through here and make sure, that you agree with what it says on here. You don't want to promise in something, right, and not deliver on it. That's the worst thing you can do. All right, so again, all of this is in your listing presentation, and I don't think many of you went through it before the class, right? You didn't do that. Okay, so was anybody prepared to do a listing presentation to someone? No, did no one instructed you that you would need to do that?
That's on here one day, but it's not that. I think that's in February, yeah.
In the February where you're going to sit down and do an actual
the 11th, February 11th, like this.
Okay, because in the class, you're supposed to do it today, but we can't move fast.
I just work here.
Yeah.
You don't work here.
Wait, will you be back on the 11th?
On the 11th?
Right.
I may be back on the 11th.
Okay, so if you're back on the 11th, we're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're not back on the 11th, we can probably navigate around that.
Well, I think what we're going to try to do is do like a workshop where you create your listing presentation and then you give it. I think that's what was decided. So, we'll see. Okay. A smooth closing. What does that look like, a smooth closing?
There's probably no such thing.
You don't have any hiccups, it's not delayed, and it just happens through the entire process with the closing attorney.
Yeah.
That's a smooth closing.
So, how do you create a smooth closing? What are the top things that you can think about that might create a smooth closing?
Stay in touch with everybody involved.
Well, proper documentation,
Exactly.
contacting your closing attorney in advance, trying to make sure that the packages are over. I sent out just recently and stuff, I guess, a document stuff from Dotloop with this important dates and stuff to my client, so that they were basically on target for those important dates. But sometimes there's just things beyond your control, like the lender and, underwriting and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm hearing communication is key.
Yeah, it is. It's key through this entire process. So,
to eliminate as many surprises as possible.
Exactly. And getting the appointment with the closing attorney as soon as possible, as soon as it goes under contract and you know what that closing date is, you could even go ahead and do it before the due diligence period is over with, just so that you've got that appointment set already. And then don't leave it up to anybody else, the other party, to get the documentation to the closing attorney. So what documentation do you need to send to the closing attorney? The contract?
I'm sending them everything.
Okay.
I mean, when we get done with class, I'm sending them the contract, I'm sending them the financing information, I'm sending my buyer brokerage agreement, I'm sending everything. Because there's commissions to, all of the proper information, financing, inspections, all that stuff, property disclosures, like you said, HOA, information, anything that I think comes through your packets and stuff should be sent to closing, whether they need it or not.
Exactly. It's better to send it and then not need it than need it and not have it, right? And the last thing you want is to be scrambling on the day of closing or the day before trying to get something to them that they should have already done. Because remember, the closing attorney has to order the title, They have to order the letter from the HOA, right? They have to, if there was a special stipulation in the contract in regards to free and clear termite letter, you've got to send that over to the closing attorney when it comes in, right? Anything so let's say that you've got a contract, but you haven't gone through due diligence, you haven't done any amendments yet, you still want to go ahead and get everything sent over to the closing attorney, but when amendments start coming in, do you send those to the closing attorney too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you also send that to the lender?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah. Bless you.
My
Thank
clients
you.
are all cash,
Mhm.
and so I'm going to be contacting the closing attorney after class. Will the title search be included in an all-cash environment? Because I know your lender would normally do that, but this is all cash. So would the closing attorney perform the title search?
So were there any closing costs at all included in the offer, even though it's all cash?
I said that even though it was all cash, that the seller was going to contribute up to $750 in closing
Okay,
costs.
so did you check that box about this includes any attorney fees or title search or anything like that?
I'm pretty confident I
Okay,
did.
then it would. Then they would do it.
Okay, if
Yeah.
not, then they would be having to go through their title search.
Right, they would have to go through their own title search, and there might be a point to where, if that wasn't checked, that the buyer would want an amendment done where the seller pays for the title search. So if that's the case, then you just have to hash that out.
Yeah, I'm not taking it for granted, because,
Yeah.
there's a warranty fee that's included in the seller's disclosure, but that still doesn't mean to me
Exactly.
a hill of beans. There could be clout on title,
Exactly.
past the purchase and such.
Exactly. So did everybody understand his question? Or do you have any questions about his question? Typically on an all-cash offer, there's not going to be a lot of closing costs included. And so in the offer, there is a part on your form that talks about what all is included in that. And so sometimes you might want to make sure that you're including everything that you expect those closing costs to cover, or not cover if it's a cash deal. Make sense?
But is there a default that if it isn't checked or isn't communicated, that one party would pay, like, for, in that case, in a title, right?
Mhm.
So if it wasn't checked,
Mhm.
or wasn't, said that the seller was going to pay, does that mean it falls back on the buyer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. And that brings back another point about the HOA, community disclosures. You want to make sure that you read that and make sure that the right boxes are checked on that too as well. Because there can be a lot of fees.
and things of that nature that are covered. Sometimes your homeowner association will force you into buying like their documentation, which is covenants and bylaws, and there could be costs associated with that as well.
Right. Also, let's see, make sure too that you want to explain to your seller that typically the buyer is going to want to do a walkthrough several days prior to closing, right? So make sure that the seller has, I know for me, whenever I'm working with a buyer, I always include on the inspection to address concerns that the receipts and warranties of any repairs be submitted to me at least no later than 72 hours prior to closing. Because I want to make sure that work has been done properly, right? And so I give it to my buyer and then we go and do a walkthrough. Okay? All right. Let's see. So what happens that let's say that it's a married couple that are selling the house and one of the parties is going to be out of the country and can't come to closing. What do? Power of attorney. Who does the power of attorney?
They can not let anyone sign it to be attorney in fact.
Pardon me?
They couldn't elect anyone to serve as their attorney in fact for that particular closing.
But
is it better off the spouse of the?
Yeah. So typically, the husband or the wife would sign the power of attorney, limited power of attorney for that transaction. What happens if they ask you to do power of attorney?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely 100%. Never, ever, 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 ever do that. Why is that important not to do that?
It's going to conflict of
Well, it's a
interest?
conflict.
It is a very big conflict of interest because you've got power of attorney now, right? I had clients that were moving over from London, and they came over for 2 weeks. We found them a house, and then they had to go back, and they were not going to be able to be here for the inspection or the closing. They wanted me to do power of attorney. Absolutely not. I had an agent when I was a broker at one point in time. She didn't do power of attorney, but this is what she did do. She went and did they were out of state. She went to the house to do the walkthrough she was representing the buyer. She went to go do the walkthrough, got to the walkthrough, this is the day of closing, did the walkthrough. When she did it, fleas were all over. Okay, the house was infested with fleas. It had been vacant, an old carpet and all that, and so it was in the middle of the summer and they just festered. She calls the buyer says, can you get this taken care of? She says yes. The buyer thinks that she's gotten this taken care of. She goes to closing. She closes on the property. They had somebody that was family as power of attorney closing. She was not acting as power of attorney, but she did represent them in taking care of the fleas. They move in. Fleas are not taken care of. What do you think happens?
She's taking care of it now.
She was in huge trouble, right? Because she took the responsibility of saying that it had been taken care of, and so don't ever do anything like that. Just be warned. People will ask you to do a lot of things. Just think outside the box. Yes, I want to represent you at the best of my ability, but that's not, in my realm of things to do.
Another thing to suggest is that with utilities, to ask them to be stayed on 3 business days after the closing.
Pardon me?
To ask for utilities to stay on 3 days after closing.
For the seller?
Mm-hmm.
I've never done that, but I'm not saying you wouldn't. It would depend, I guess, on what the buyer and the seller came to terms on.
Right. Well, we had a situation where, when what was the hurricane that came in? Michelle?
Yeah.
Or Michael, whatever.
Yeah.
So the mortgage company was in the Carolinas. They couldn't close for a few days because they weren't open, and we did not put in there to keep it open 3 days later. They closed it the day that was supposed to close. We closed 2 days later, and the ice maker leaked in the water.
Oh.
So someone in the office had said it's a good thing to put in there 3 days, have it shut off 3 days after, so in case there's a problem.
Yeah, but one thing that you want to make sure of, though, is that your seller does contact the utility companies, because they will not transfer it into the buyer until the seller has said, yes, disconnect on this day, you can go ahead and have someone else, plan on having it done. Okay, let's see. House keys, garage door openers, and picture ID or passport will serve as the closing documents that you take to the closing attorney. Okay. Let's see. Condition, we talked about condition. It says here that number one thing is great condition sales. And I say number one thing is price sales. Then it's condition. Marketing your house. That is so important. Okay, so in today's world, what do you think you need to do to say that they're interviewing 5 agents, right? What are you going to do to make yourself stand out?
Show these pictures.
Above and beyond. You got to go above and beyond what other agents are doing to win that listing. Okay?
Well, I have a little bit of a leg up, by being a contractor, so, if someone's buying or someone's selling, I can help folks and stuff, because inevitably and stuff in any deal, if there's any type of repair contingencies and stuff, a buyer may be asking more than what it's worth, or a seller may be belittling and stuff what it's worth, so I can put folks in an advantage and stuff to actually know what market value is for these types of conditions.
That's great. That's fantastic. So some of the things that you might want to consider, and see, this says a 14-step marketing plan. Well, sometimes 14 steps is not all that it's going to take. Sometimes you have to have more steps. So you may want to think about having your own YouTube channel so that you can put your listing on YouTube, okay? One of the things that is an important thing to do that you don't see a lot of people doing now is when when you take a listing, you have somebody film you in front of the front door of the listing, and you walk through the house, and you show it, and you've got a live video of that house. So you'd put that on YouTube, you'd put it on all your social media, you'd put it on your website. Okay, you want to send it out to your sphere of influence, you want to send that out to all the agents that you have in your database. So doing video is going to become extremely popular, and right now you're not seeing a lot of agents doing that, but it's a way to set yourself apart. Especially if you're also doing an open house, that's a great way to advertise your open house. Because you know on Zillow that you can schedule an open house on Zillow, but when you schedule that open house, you can upload your own YouTube video to do that. Does that make sense? Okay. So just start thinking about things that are maybe outside the box that other agents are doing. Another thing that you may want to do is look at agents that are throughout the country, their websites. You can get ideas from their websites, that are not being done here. Just make sure, again, that you read this on these marketing things and make sure that you're going to do all this stuff, because some things you may not do. It says, respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. Okay, so what I did with my sellers is I set the expectations up when I was at the listing appointment and told them I lead generate at this time. I will not be answering my phone during this time. If you call me and I answer the phone, you need to fire me, because I'm not finding a buyer for your house. I'm not doing what I've told you to do. So if you say that you respond to all buyer inquiries immediately, and that seller calls you to test you and you've told them that you don't answer the phone during that period of time, don't answer your phone, because they're testing you. It happens all the time. You will get tested. So just think of things outside of that. What about signage? Are you going to have your own sign that you've had created with your own logo and brand yourself to stand out? Or are you going to have a standard sign? Are they going to be post signs? Or are they going to be a metal sign? Are they going to be reflective signs so that people who are driving through the neighborhood at night can see your reflective sign? Or you could get by going by those little lights that go into the ground that are solar, and point them at the sign, so when people in the neighborhood are driving through, they're automatically lighting up your sign. Those little things that you can tweak make a big difference. Okay? If you're not going to do open houses, don't say on here you're going to do open houses. Right? If you are going to do an open house, you better know how to do an open house the right way. Okay. Right, Tim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see. Active buyers and investors, okay, in your database that you're sending to. And in FMLS there's a way to set it up to reverse prospect. Okay, so make sure so some of those things the consumers are not aware of those things. So to set yourself apart, you may want to add some of those things on there. I do reverse prospecting. You do, but it's really FMLS that's doing it for you, right? But they don't need to know that. You don't have to say that, right? You set it up that way. Okay. The global exposure, there are so many websites that your listing is going to go to. I mean, there's just a lot more that's even advertised in the listing packet. Price, you talked about price. So what happens if they disagree or they object to the price that you set?
We quit.
You get the information and provide them with the information to make an informed decision. Look, I understand this is what you think your house is worth, but in comparing the properties around the CMA, and you provide them with all the information, and you tend to bring them down.
Exactly.
I think it's a team effort, and I think you manage expectations. I think if you have somebody who wants to go above what your suggestion is, that you say, okay, maybe we can have a template of time. It's your thought process, and if it doesn't basically work, then we potentially either do a price reduction, or you understand the stuff that we're having this feedback, or we can't get it sold in an expeditious timeframe.
Yeah, that's a good, you can go that way. You can put in your listing agreement, special stipulations that if we price it at, you know, some things are not out of the realm. If somebody wants to overprice it by $50,000, even $25,000, then I'm saying like a no-go.
Right.
Yeah. But again, I'm going to leave that up to you. But you can put in special stipulations. We will list it at this price, and after 2 weeks, if we haven't had any showings, you know, then we're going to drop it down to this price. And go ahead and have them take, in your packet that you would have at the listing agreement, you would have a form that drops the sales price. And so you go ahead and have them sign that and date that for 2 weeks out. So when 2 weeks comes up, you're not having to argue with them and say, wait a minute, you said you would drop price. You've automatically got it in there, and you can automatically send it into FMLS. Make sense? Okay. Who determines the price? The market. The market determines the price, and that's what, a lot of times that's what you have to help them to understand, that you're not there, you know, telling them to price it at this because that's what you think. It's what the market is bearing, right? And then you need to talk about appraisal, right? Appraisal plays a big part of this, because sometimes you may get multiple offers. I've been in this situation many, many times where, you know, I've had to say to my seller, look, yeah, we've got 6 offers sitting here, but let's think about this. The highest offer, the highest thing that sold was at $242. If we take this $245, it's not going to appraise. So let's look at the other pieces of the puzzle that are more important to getting, you know, to closing, because that's the whole point. So it's not always just about price, it's the whole package that you got to look at. And you need to help the seller understand that at the get-go. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Okay. Comparative properties, I talked about the CMA. I think y'all are going to have a CMA class, right? In here, you have a CMA class. And have y'all taken the FMLS?
And matrix class?
Yeah, the matrix class?
Yes.
Good. That's a great class to take. And I would really suggest taking the Real List class too at FMLS if you haven't done that yet.
The what?
Real List.
Real List 101 and 201.
Yeah.
There's a 1 and 2 inside of FMLS, and it kind of gives you much more intricate information about the property, chain of ownership, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because Real List is where you can pull a lot of information that you'll need for filling out your paperwork. Okay, and then you go over the recommended price, as you see here. This is a really, in my opinion, this is a really long listing presentation. Mine is nowhere near this long. Mine is more about after I show them how I don't talk about the CMA, I don't show them the CMA or anything yet until after I've gone over how I'm going to market the property. That's the first thing I do. When we sit down at the kitchen table and we chat for a minute and I tell them some of the things that needs to be done, then I start showing them how I'm going to market the property. I go all the way through my marketing program before I talk about price to them. And then I sit down and we go through the CMA. And then I slide the listing agreement over to them. We go through that real, you know, I just highlight the important things. And they sign it and boom, you're done. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Why would you want to do the marketing before going over price?
It's more realistic that you're going to actually sell it.
Pardon me?
It seems more realistic that you're not going to actually sell it.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want them to have their whole, like, brain, like, start computing numbers and not pay attention.
Exactly.
Because I know if you give me a price, all I'm doing is for the next hour is thinking, am I making the money I thought I was?
Yeah. And talking about that, making the money, do you sit down with them and do a net sheet with them at the listing appointment after you discuss price?
I think so.
Yes, absolutely. Does everybody know what a net sheet is? Yes. So on your net sheet, you should already know what they owe on the property. So then you just take your net, what the list price would be, you figure in what the commission would be, you figure in what they owe on the property, then you probably want to add in some closing costs there, you know, and then add in some money for inspection. And then typical, like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 depending on, you know, just some typical items outside. So you can kind of give them an approximate. And always put on that net sheet approximately, right? Don't ever leave there without that approximately being on there, because they'll hold you to that. Well, you said blah, 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 right? Let's see. Then the listing agreement document, you'll go over that with them. Seller's disclosure document, hopefully you've sent that to them in your pre-listing agreement. And make sure you go over that seller's disclosure statement with them thoroughly. Because a lot of people get mixed up on what it says. Some people will check off everything. And then I always also told my clients, do not check the refrigerator, that the refrigerator is going to remain. Let's leave that for a negotiable item, right? So, because it gives you a little bit of leverage. Yeah, washer and dryer, same thing. If they want to leave all that stuff, just say, hey, hold on a minute. Let's just hold this back. This could be something we can offer instead, you know. I don't know.
Excuse me, what if some items the seller really doesn't know or not sure?
If they don't know whether they're going to leave it or not, such as, let's say, for example, they have an antique chandelier, right, in their dining room, and they don't want to leave that, you need to tell them to take that thing down and replace it with another light.
Right.
Just go ahead and get it out of there, because people are going to want that antique chandelier. Items on the seller's disclosure, if they don't know whether they're going to take it or not, then they need to write that in special steps that we don't know. I've never had that happen where a seller didn't know whether they were going to take something or not. So I don't have experience with dealing with that.
Or the condition about the house, the seller is not so sure. So in this situation, it's better to leave it blank or?
No. So, like, for instance, if she doesn't know whether it's in a flood zone or something, exactly, yeah. No, you don't want to leave it like you would want to say, I do not know. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Because whatever they put on that seller's disclosure can come back to bite them after closing.
Yeah, and I always advise my clients, I was like, listen, you know, if in fact you think something's going to occur and it has not necessarily come to fruition, you can't say it. It's got to be fact. It can't be supposition at all.
Correct.
What do you think if we just don't provide a seller disclosure?
Well, a lot of people that don't live in the house, like for instance, if an investor has bought a property and they're flipping it, then they don't fill out the seller's disclosure because they haven't experienced living in there, so they don't know what's wrong or what isn't wrong. So I just always explain to my clients that you're taking a chance. You know, because we don't have a seller's disclosure, we don't know what has happened with this property. However, you're going to have an inspection, so you're going to have to lean heavy on what the inspection says. So, moving checklist, we talked about that too, as far as like a moving checklist. Well, no, not the moving.
Can I ask a question about the investor? Yes. So an investor comes in, they're flipping the house, right? If they make the repairs of a leaky whatever it is that considered a repair and not something that is, I guess it's considered fixed then, right?
It's considered fixed.
But it should still be on the disclosure, right?
Well, typically an investor is not going to fill out a seller's disclosure statement.
Yeah. What about
But normally I would say just, you know, so if it's a seller and you had a leak in your roof,
right,
and you had it patched, you have
to disclose it.
Right. So why would an investor, if they knew that there was a leak in the roof and they repaired it?
Because they're not going to take responsibility.
I know that, but I'm just saying, I'm just in my mind thinking about.
But there are certain things on a seller's disclosure that you inherently know. You know, you've got, you know, gas and stuff stowed. You know, if it's electric, you know, it's gas and that kind of stuff. So if an investor's doing all that, there are some things that they can fill out on the seller's disclosure for sure. But if you had anything previous to ownership and stuff, obviously you don't know. So the I don't know would be probably the prevailing check mark.
Yeah.
I mean, even with a roof, what is the average life of a roof 15 to 20?
No,
Depends, if
absolutely
it's
not.
an
Depends on
architectural
product.
roof, you're looking at like about 25 years, but you can have a brand new roof, well, not brand new, but you can have a fairly new roof and it'd be Atlas Chalet shingles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which had, a class action lawsuit against them.
Still ongoing.
Right, still ongoing, right, so, but a lot of sellers and a lot of sellers are not gonna know that's the kind of shingles they have on their roof, right?
Mhm.
Atlas Chalet. Nobody really disclosed, well, at the time they were using them, they thought they were okay.
Mhm.
And even so, you can still have an Atlas Chalet roof that's okay. If it's typically hasn't been in a lot of sunlight, it hasn't created the bubbling up and everything, it's okay. But the inspector is typically gonna be able to
Yeah, it's
tell
widely
whether,
known.
Atlas
Widely
Chalet, and then it'll be up to the buyer to determine whether they want to move forward with it or not. So I had several houses that sold that had Atlas Chalet shingles on there, and then I had, one that the lady said, I'll just get a new roof, and she got a new roof, Allstate paid for it, so, it worked out.
So would that be a stipulate one of your steps?
No, I'm a roofer, so, when it generally comes out, stuff is identified. Once it's identified, all sorts of things can happen, the buyer could say, oh, I don't want to inherit this, Secondly, you can even have hazard insurance, basically they don't want to cover the property or do a rider to exclude the roof because
Mhm.
it's a defective product.
Mhm.
So what's happening now is that, either hazard insurance or buyer-seller agreements, and the inspector knows what it is. It's usually dealt with as part of the real estate transaction now, that something ferrets out, that the roof is done by insurance, or it's done because, the buyers insist upon it, or hazard insurance, so they're really not going that much forward. It's more common than not now.
Yeah, so, what to expect next, checklist, sign in the yard. This is a good thing to help them understand what your next steps are after you list the house. So you list the house, you put the lockbox on the door, you gotta sign in the yard. It doesn't just stop there, right? It's not supposed to just stop there. So you're gonna give them a deadline, of when you can expect the pictures to be back, when you can expect it to be in FMLS, in Georgia MLS, when you can expect it to hit all the websites. So one of the things to help your seller to understand is once your listing is in Georgia MLS, not FMLS, but Georgia MLS, that's where all the websites, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, that's where they pull all their information for it to get fired out to all the different websites.
So can agents list a home and not put it in any of the MLSs?
No, they cannot.
There is one in the our neighborhood that I keep looking up at and just not
Have
coming
you looked
up.
at Georgia MLS?
Mhm.
Okay, it's not in Georgia MLS either?
No, and they have the sign right there
Does
since
it not
like
say-
3 days ago, and I keep looking and it's not anywhere.
They shouldn't be putting the yard, they should not be putting the sign in the yard until after they've actually
Put it
in
inside
the system, or at least within 24 hours.
No,
in the
it's
system,
been
48 hours.
3-4 days.
They could be just waiting on the pictures, that, from the photographer.
Okay.
Yeah,
There was
so-
an agent in my neighborhood that did that. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. Like he was still doing construction in the house, so he had a sign in the yard.
Mhm.
And finally, I approached him. I was like, "When are you gonna list this? Your sign's been in the yard for a couple weeks." Because I didn't know that was. He said, "Oh, it'll be another couple weeks. We're just finishing up." But I just wanted to let everybody know that it was gonna be on the market.
Now, if it's new construction, the rules for FMLS are it doesn't have to go into FMLS until at framing stage.
Okay.
Okay, so new construction, they can have that property, a sign in the
Right.
yard and a lockbox on the door.
Yeah.
But the rule is it has to be in FMLS at time of frame.
No,
That's
this is-
interesting
this is a
because,
renovation.
in my buyer clients and stuff, I took them shopping and there was a property that was listed in FMLS, and when we got there, it hadn't even been graded yet.
Yeah.
And then I have a listing personally and stuff that's not in FMLS, but I put my sign in the yard and I put a coming soon sign.
They
Did
didn't
you
even
do
put
that?
a coming soon
Yeah.
Yeah, so
sign.
they're kind
They
of
just
out of-
put like for sale.
Yeah, they're out of protocol, to be honest.
And it was
with you.
like,
Yeah, they
it
are.
was like a week, and then 4 days ago I checked and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah,
checking
you're not
every
supposed to
day
be-
and
you're not
it's not
supposed to
there.
be, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, that's out
Okay.
of protocol.
Yeah.
That's
How do
Absolutely.
you keep coming soon on there?
Pardon me?
I mean, I've got it there for a couple of weeks already.
I was gonna say, is there a limit to coming soon, how long we can do?
No.
Okay.
And I do know the Georgia
recommend-
Association of Realtors was trying to get that rule
Yeah, and I've actually
overturned,
done some
Right.
private showings.
but
and stuff based
they
on that,
failed
too.
to be able to have that happen.
Hmm.
Anna Crowley, you had a
Okay,
question?
this is maybe more towards you, maybe you'll hit, but, so, I've never done anything, I haven't done a listing or anything like that. Do I need to, like, prepare my husband to help me with signs, or are they easy enough that I can put them in?
Depends on what kind of sign you get. My
Okay.
signs were post signs, and I could not, my son had to put them in and go and take
Get
them
them
out.
out, okay.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
tried to get a realistic picture
Yeah,
for him.
and in the summer,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
even with the
right.
metal signs in the summer,
Yeah,
I mean, that dirt can be like,
like.
Hard
so
on
now-
rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Someone told me some of the post signs that look like posts really have a metal rod
Yeah, that's
that go
exactly
in,
what mine
and
was.
then you put your post on
Yeah.
top. You just have to be careful if they have a sprinkler system that you don't put it
That's
where.
true, that's true. But my signs, they were post signs, but, it has a blue, long rod like this, kinda looks like it's gonna,
Auburn.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, but even still, even with me trying to do that,
Mhm.
no way, Matt, hard. Let's see, staging, like if we talked about that, professional photos taken, even if it's, on the low end of listings, I would still, I know a lot of people determine whether they're gonna get professional photos taken based on the list price. I wouldn't do that, because to me, my reputation and being able to service my
Right,
clients, the entire way of how I would, whether it's a $50,000 listing or whether it's, $1 million listing, is important to me. So I'll leave that up to you.
That's fair.
Flyers created, that is something that a lot of people are really getting away from now, flyers, and it really just causes a lot of issues. However, one of the things that I did, and I did get good feedback from it, I actually got a couple of clients off of it, was, I don't know that I would do it now or not, but when I first listed a property, I would have, the picture of the current listing, but on the back of my flyer, I would have all my other listings on there too. So, because, it's, if they don't want to see this house because of price, then they might want to see another house that's on the back of it, right?
So in that regard and stuff, some of your other listings and stuff, you weren't necessarily within that radius, and you weren't necessarily at that price point?
Correct,
Okay,
correct,
good.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's just
I wouldn't put,
hey,
one,
2 doors down,
yeah,
this
no,
would
I
be
wouldn't
cool
do
too,
that,
yeah.
it would be, a different price point, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. So if you don't do flyers anymore, what do you do instead?
Oh, for me, what I did is, I have a system that is called Listing Booster. And with my Listing Booster, what it does is it creates, as soon as I get my listing in Georgia MLS, it creates my own YouTube channel, it creates my own website for that. It's a property dedicated website.
Okay.
And then it creates all my virtual tours. Some are branded and some are not, because on some that are branded with my logo and all that cannot go into, FMLS with that branded, right? Okay. So, and then it goes to Keyboom, which is on the TV channel, that's on Roku. And it also has a text writer on there, so each one of my listings has its own text code.
Okay.
So that person can text that number, and on their phone, a virtual tour of the house will come up on the phone. And so that was really more my flyer that I started using, because the paper flyers, it just seems like they get wet and soggy and trashed and...
Oh, you
yeah.
mean you don't leave flyers outside?
Yeah,
Most times,
yeah.
but you leave them inside the house?
Yeah, I created a
Okay.
booklet though. I created a listing booklet for each one of my properties. So in that
But the
listing...
booklet didn't walk with the prospect. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
no, I did. My booklets walked with the prospect, because my booklets were, I included, a flyer of the property, and then the neighborhood profile, the school scores, okay, private schools that were around, shopping and all of that. And I have the seller's disclosure in there and the HOA disclosure. If I had a copy of their survey, then the survey went in there too as well.
But I think Katie's question is, how many of those did you leave at the house?
Well, I had to check on those on a weekly basis to
Okay.
make sure that they were full.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you did have a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I saw that online.
Pardon me?
I saw that online, a welcome home booklet.
Yeah, yeah.
They're cute.
Yeah, and, you can start doing it on DVD too. You could transfer it over to DVD and leave DVDs in the house. And I would do that for a more expensive listing. You see when, but those are not hard to do. Schedule open house, that's optional, but you just want to make sure that you communicate with your seller on your timelines. Also, on communication, it's important to let them know when these steps have been completed, right? So, and especially if something hasn't been completed, like if you put a date down here and it hasn't been completed, you definitely want to contact your seller and say, you know, this hasn't been completed because whatever the reason may be. Maybe giving them a moving checklist, you know, the electrical, telephone, water, all of that. That's a good thing to do. And then, I guess you guys are going to do this later, do your listing presentation later. And then, let's see, putting it all together. Are y'all doing this in Ignite, your action plans? No.
We haven't yet.
Okay, okay. All right.
I don't know what does that fall under?
It's at the end of each course, you're supposed to have an action plan, so as far as like practicing your listing presentation with a partner, practicing your listing presentation objections with a partner.
Homework? No, we don't have homework.
Okay, y'all haven't been doing homework? Okay.
We have been doing it, but we haven't.
Yeah, some people have NTIs in here.
She said at the end of every whatever.
Well, you have some NTIs.
Anti what?
NTIs not turned in?
What was we supposed to turn in?
I'm just messing.
Oh,
you always get that too. Okay.
I'm like, Casey has been leaving me out of the evening.
Okay, so you're supposed to, pardon me?
Usually, I mean, prior to that, when we took it, there was homework for every, Ignite class.
Yeah.
We're just more like the practice club in here.
You certainly are, sir.
Okay, let's see, prepare.
Yeah, we don't need.
Any questions?
You were awesome, and we need to find this homework as a group.
So, any ahas for the class? Did you get anything, you know, that you didn't think of before?
Are you going over the listing presentation that Stacy sent to everyone?
No, that is something, well, that's what we just went over.
Okay.
We just didn't go page by page, because it's like, pretty thick.
You said yours was in KW.
There is one in KW, mine is not a KW one.
But the one in KW we customized.
Yes, you can customize it. Yes,
That
it's
was
a
the aha.
PowerPoint.
And yours, Stacy resent in a Word doc.
Yes, that
So
one
we
was the
can
pre-listing
definitely edit
packet,
that.
and that pre-listing one is also in my KW that
Right.
you can tweak. Yes.
I'm like brand new, so I like the fact that you put it in order because I would not have known what to say.
Well, you're gonna do a lot of practicing. Yeah, you'll do a lot.
I had no idea where to start
With
though,
homework?
besides coffee.
Besides coffee?
Yeah, get them to have coffee.
Yeah, well, that's a start. That is a big start. But yeah, any ahas? Did anything come out of the class that you didn't think about, or that really stood
I
out?
liked your idea of putting it in a FedEx envelope. I would have never thought of that. You're right. I always open the FedEx envelope.
It's from FedEx. We trust them.
And UPS, okay, this needs to be in those cardboard envelopes, and I'm like, what is it? So.
Another thing that you could do too to get real personal with people is create a video signature on your email. Have a video of your signature, a video of yourself. So thank you so much for setting a listing appointment with me. I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to meeting you. So that way they see your face with the email too. They're getting to know you. It's much more personable.
That sounds cute.
Easy to do. You can do it. All right. Anything else? Any questions?
You ball.
We good?
For you is.
Including the seller disclosure in the pre-listing packet is really awesome tip too. I like
Good.
that.
Good.
that will tell you how serious these people are, like the sheer fact that they fill it out.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, they're gonna have to do it anyway, so I send it.
But having it before.
Oh, no, I
people
send it,
there,
I mean,
yeah.
regardless if they're doing it for me and stuff or somebody else, they're gonna have to do it, it's just,
Yeah.
it's about.
This is supposed to be anonymous, right? I keep reading.
It's okay. You don't have to be
Fine,
anonymous.
really.
Did you have a question,
All the
Mia?
time.
Okay.
Should start selling them how.
Yes, ma'am.
So the pre-listing packet, do we get that to them ahead of time before we sit down and meet with them face to face? So
Yeah.
email that to them?
Yeah. Well, I did not. You can email it if you want to email it. And depending on how big your packet is, my pre-listing packet was pretty big, so I never emailed it. I hand delivered it in a FedEx package.
Okay. And you also said something will cut down on about an hour if you get it to them ahead of time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It will, because you're going, that pre-listing packet is helping them to understand the process and getting the house ready, what they can expect, you know, and all that. In your pre-listing packet, you are not, hear me on this, you are not including how to market the house. You are not including what you're going to do to market the house. The other thing too, you never, ever, ever, ever want to leave behind your marketing packet with anybody.
Because they will try to do it themselves.
Right, okay. Your marketing packet, if you want to do it on your laptop and you're showing them, you know, to it technically, or if you, mine's printed and I have it in a binder and that I could split, you know, but I had like the avocado lady. Will you leave this with me? No, ma'am.
Can I take a picture of it?
No, ma'am.
Well, you barely got out of there without having a fight, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not listing your property, I'm not giving you my marketing plan. She's like, oh,
The
hell
avocado
no, you
lady?
better, I'll beat you in the court.
Yeah.
We named her the avocado lady.
Yeah, she is the alcohol lady. I don't remember her name. I remember the house though.
HGTV, like,
Yeah.
house name.
Maybe she
The
made some
avocado
money.
house.
Yeah, that's like a fixer-upper.
Right.
It's the avocado house.
I would have called it the anaconda house.
Yeah. That's really funny. I showed a buyer one time, so I had this little, she was first-time home buyer, she was pretty young, and so we, go in this house, and, I mean, it's pretty vacant, there's not a lot of furniture in there and everything, and we were looking at the house, and she's loving it. We go into the basement, I flip on the light, and there's wall-to-wall snake tanks, and they are filled with snakes. I have never seen anybody run. She ran so fast out of that house.
And then I would be thinking, well, when they were moving, what if they drive?
Well, listen, this is the funny thing that happened. So she ends up buying a house over there in East Cobb somewhere off of Old Canton, in that area. And so during the summer there was a snake in her crawl space. After she freaked out on the snakes, there was a snake in her crawl space.
She called
she
you?
couldn't get around snakes. She thought it was funny. She called me like, you won't believe what happened. There was a snake in my crawl space.
They did get them off.
Yeah.
I think the house that I ran away from.
Yeah.
Following me.
Yeah, exactly.
When my husband and I were buying a house, and we were looking at this one particular house, and we walked in the master bedroom, and I didn't really pay attention to the artwork that was on the walls, but my husband did, because it was sketches of a naked man and a naked woman hanging over their bed, and I remember we stood there just staring at it like, who leaves that up at their house?
Exactly. I've had even worse.
We showed a house, and the mother, it was a single female, and she brought her mother along. This is the second time we were looking at the house, and we were trying to figure out how to tell her mom that in the master bedroom there were hooks in the ceiling. And we knew that mom was going to... Okay, how do we prepare mom for this one?
Yeah.
That's where you basically do the ferns, yeah.
Back in the day before showing time existed and all that, so and before agents had Zillow, the consumers had Zillow, and before there was portal for FMLS, we as agents, we were the ones that looked at the sheets, the FMLS sheets, and we decided what houses we were going to show to buyers. The buyers didn't decide, we decided.
Okay.
And so, so you would take your FMLS sheet, and you would read the instructions, call to set an appointment or whatever. So I would always do mine the night before and call and say, I'm gonna be showing your house between 11 and 1. You know, if that's a problem, please call me back at blah, blah, blah. You know, if I don't hear back from you, I'll just go ahead and show, right? So I'm working with the buyer, and she was a good friend of mine, and it was really funny, but so thank goodness she was a good friend of mine. And we ring the doorbell. You know, I always ring the doorbell because you don't know. And so we walk in, it's quiet downstairs and everything. And this is a house in Vinings, and it was like, you know, it was a really nice house. We walk in, you know, we're looking and everything. So we go upstairs, and the master bedroom was kind of like right when you get it upstairs with the double doors, and the double doors were closed.
You walked in.
Open them. Oh my God, we slammed the door. It was horrible. Come to find out, he was having an affair.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was a mistress in the house?
Yeah. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
What a
and
kid.
you came.
Nobody was supposed to be there.
You pulled away. Ran out of the house. No, she would have been petty. I'd be like.
Well, little did he know he was selling the house and stuff for divorce reasons after that. Right?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, she's like, I worked on this divorce.
Oh my God.
There's some
vendors
from Marcy eventually, if you're going, that will give us some.
And then I gotta come home.
Yeah, so, there might, I mean, most of the time, most flooring companies will have these,
before you leave, I need to.
maybe all of them may not have it, you know, just kind of go around.
I think we're
I
fine.
know,
Yeah, I wouldn't worry.
old public used to have
In my
them.
opinion.
Picture of it.
No, She can do, and then, home health. First time home warranty. First time, first American home warranty.
Okay.
Always have it.
Okay.
Yeah, in town. Okay, that's good.
You gonna be okay?
Yeah, if I'm on the antibiotics.
You're sounding pretty bad. I didn't even like, who is this?
Well,
No, I can.
Oh,
So that's like. We made the minutes.
We are used to this.
When did it?
Wait, Ira, you said you're gonna go to the computer room?
yeah.
Yes, that's why I was.
Are we still meeting at 1? Okay.
Coming at Jones?
No, this is serious first.
And like, it doesn't have your name.
Yeah, I have some conduits in.
I'm gonna go back to my site. Hopefully I'll bring my laptop to the booth. On Wednesday, you know, since I just need on because Wednesday. I'm out down in the shop.
She's trying to.
Pop up on that.
If you're in that market.
Yeah, she has a value of really high.
I'm working on already.
I go down.
There's so many people out there that face the news. And
we don't know what
Like,
I'm
not gonna do like. Like, I have to go down.
You're nobody anymore.
I saw that. Well, I didn't even. Oh, I hear ya. Good luck.
Yeah, that's fine.
He was
I mean,
acting like Ira
it's a G thing.
I was still what?
acting like Ira.
I was acting like Ira?
Myself.
Well, we look alike.
Ira didn't hear that. See?
I know.
You said people what?
Acting like Ira.
It might be too much though.
How do you guys?
No, it's not that at all. Like that, I just know if they have
No,
a
but,
short time frame and stuff.
Right.
like
I'm
that.
gonna ask my little lady.
Mike,
What's your-
today's gonna figure it out that they're ready.
Yeah, but so much like.
So you
No,
might
I
get
haven't,
a bigger
How
price.
did you get come in with her if you don't know?
I understand for investment.
I understand how like work.
That one?
Yeah, and then like, yeah.
Did you do your desktop?
Yes.
I haven't noticed that yet.
They can,
Think about it.
the
better you are,
somewhat
the more they.
even
Even if it's a small.
that's not even with the high end,
Make me better.
do the high
Yeah.
elevation, then I'm already kind of your phone, you have an acre,
No, your own responsibility, your, every time.
Well, Tim, you see how that works out too.
That's a little.
I'll make it for you.
Right, I'm starting something else.
So that's what I was thinking, but then I was like.
But that's essentially the idea, you know what I mean?
Well, let me just say and stuff like that, I mean, my commercial environment and stuff, and as
Make
far
money
as
away.
my loan environment.
They don't make it under, but you still got it.
Not some traditional, and then just so I have a loan.
You out of here, Pete?
Within fair boundaries, that's fair, within certain, you know what I mean? But then, like, for instance, though, why would I not?
Well, no, if you ran into an individual scenario, get engaged with them,
Right.
they would look at that as